Hey guys, Dr. Games here. Just to give you guys a quick preview of this recording of the podcast. There's been a little bit technical difficulties in the matter. I do appreciate you guys for listening in while the ringing and the hissing and things that matter with the product that I'm currently using on is damaged. Hopefully I get a new headset or a new splitter of sorts for my recordings next month. Hopefully it'll be fixed by then. Like I just had to find money for to pay for the fixture of this device that I'm using for recording with you guys. So please thumbs up, subscribe, and share. Donate to my Patreon. Enter the games 101. Enjoy the podcast, guys. I'll see you around. Bye. Enjoy.
All right, welcome to episode number 80 of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. I am your host, Triple J. Joining me is my co-host, Dr. Games 101.
Yo, guys. What's going on?
And as we do every 2 weeks, we're meeting up to talk about the latest news in gaming. Dr. Games 101, are you ready to start?
Oh, yeah. You see, you want to talk about something before we start with our lineup, if I remember correctly?
Yep. I wanted to talk about Max Payne 2, but some information I found out.
Okay.
Let me start off with asking you this, Dr. Games. Do you ever watch Mojo on YouTube?
Mojo, the top 10 digital.
Top 10, top 20 on almost anything, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of their videos so far.
All right, well, they said, I saw a video earlier this week that it was the top 20 endings that are hardest to get, the top 20 hardest endings to get in video game. And one of those endings is in Max Payne 2.
Oh, yeah.
There's actually a way to get an ending where Mona Sachs lives at the end.
I got that one time back when I was fucking 18, 17, 16 years old. So
Really?
yeah, one time. Because it says at the end, I dream about my wife, but it's all right. And Mona somehow, some way survives after that. I don't know.
Yeah, she goes, I never thought I'd be a damsel in distress.
Yeah, something like that.
Do you know, well, according to Watch Mojo, the only way to beat that, to get that good ending where she survives, is you have to beat Max Payne 2 on the hardest difficulty, Dead on Arrival.
Oh, yeah, I did that one time or two. Took me a while to
Oh, okay, no wonder. Of course you knew about it.
Yeah, I had to both Max Payne 1 and 2 for almost 20 years now, so.
Yeah, I still have Max Payne 1 and 2. I should revisit one of them. But no, it's just Dead on Arrival. I heard that not only are the enemies tougher, but you get a limited number of saves throughout the entire game. So if you're playing to get the good ending, you could end up playing huge chunks of the game over and over again if you die. So I thought that was pretty interesting because I didn't know there was a scenario where Mona Sachs lives.
Yeah, the hardest difficulty is Dead on Arrival. That's one of the hardest difficulties in all of the games back in the 2000s, actually. Excuse me. So it's yeah, and Mona Sachs and Max Payne go hand in hand with teaming up very well too in that story sequence. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, and there's also I just got up to this part last time I played it. Isn't there a part of Max Payne 2 where you actually control Mona and you actually play a little bit, place a part of her campaign?
Yeah, it's every time you play Max Payne, you play her at least 2 levels, if not 3 levels. So that's much.
Okay, that's as far as I got in Max Payne 2 when you first take over control of her.
Yep, she does cartwheels and backflips and all when you evade enemies' bullets. So that's pretty cool.
Well, I died pretty quickly after controlling her, so I didn't get to experience that.
Yeah.
And Dr. Games 101 makes fun of me for playing the game on easy.
Yeah, you always play on the easy mode most of these games. What's wrong with you, man? I mean, you're a gamer. You're supposed to be at normal at least, Normal. Come on.
I only do that on certain games. I'll play the original Doom on normal.
Sure.
Hey, I did beat Metal Gear Solid 2 on easy, very easy, and normal, and I beat the tanker mission on hard. I didn't complete it.
How about extreme?
No, since I couldn't complete the plant mission on hard, I never even tried extreme.
How about European extreme? Yes, there is such a
rule.
Yeah, is he called European extreme or E extreme? Meaning that if you get spotted by the enemy, you start all over from scratch. You can't save after certain parts of the sections of the level or sequence of these games, within the game. So
Oh wow, I didn't even I've never even seen that difficulty.
yeah, you have to beat on either extreme difficulty or some other means. It has to be at least extreme. That's the so far easiest way to get European extreme. So that's what it's called
Wow,
back then. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I did my research about the story of Metal Gear Solid 2 in detail, so over the years on and off. So, because the first time I played it, it was a little confusing with the Colonel and then Rose, and they talk about the censorship and stuff. So I kind of looked into the lore, and I was like, wow, this is very relatable to the average citizen out there wondering to themselves, like, well,
It's relatable to times like today,
yes,
actually.
definitely today as well.
But the thing is, that game was made like 20 years ago. It's like, how did Hideo Kojima know what was going to happen?
Uh huh. Yeah, Hideo Kojima is not your ordinary dude. He's very well founded and connected with the game industry. So but they may have the actual inside knowledge of what's going on in the elites of the world and stuff like that. And hence he heard about the New World Order agenda and the riots and said that the COVID-19 pandemic. So it's kind of like it's all lead up to this now. So
Yeah. So anyway, I didn't expect to jump into Metal Gear Solid also, but yeah, that's why I wanted to bring up. You ready to jump into the news now?
But before we continue on with the news sequences, just let you guys know, if you hear a lot of noise in the background, that's my connection messing up in my computer. So if you hear a lot of bleeping and disconnect and reconnect, that's my on my end, not anyone else's end. So, all right,
Okay.
sorry about that,
All right.
guys.
Ready to begin?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. First, next story up, I guess I should say. PlayStation Plus gets significant price increases next week. These are probably already in effect because this came out August 30th. Today, Sony announced the next slate of monthly games for the month of September. It also revealed that each subscription tier of PlayStation Plus is getting a significant price bump. The PlayStation blog reveals that September's free games will be 2022 Saint Row, Black Desert, Traveler Edition, and Generation Zero. They'll become available on the 5th and can be downloaded until October 2nd. On September 6th, 12-month subscriptions for PlayStation Plus Essential, Extra, and Premium will be raised to the following prices. Essential will go from $80 up to $80, up from $60. Extra will be $135, up from $100. Premium will be $160, up from $120. You can read this article for a refresher on the benefits of each subscription tier, which will not be changing. Which will not be changing. Current 12-month subscribers will not see these prices take effect until their next renewal date, occurring on or after November 6th. Changing your membership, such as buying more time or upgrading or downgrading tiers on or after September 6th, means paying the new prices, though Sony also states that the new prices remain at a discounted rate compared to the single or 3-month options. Sony has not revealed the new monthly quarterly rates. In the blog post, Sony explains the changes by stating this price adjustment will enable us to continue bringing high-quality games and value-added benefits to your PlayStation Plus subscription service. It's worth noting that, for now, Sony has not announced any new additional benefits following the pricing updates. The move comes at a time when several streaming and subscription services have raised their fees, so it's not entirely surprising. But if you're looking to sign up for PlayStation Plus or extend or change a subscription, now would be the time in order to save some money. So, what do you think of I mean, I guess it was evident with PlayStation Plus, with Game Pass, excuse me. But what do you think of PlayStation Plus raising their prices?
That is not too good for them on their account because yes, Microsoft has been creating this online gaming paid for service for a good 20 years now since their inception back in 2001 and all, if not 2002 with Xbox Gold. But PlayStation should have kept this prices very low or almost no charge for their services. Well, that's a little too much for in today's world, but you know what I mean. Like if they pay very cheaply, like Sony, because Sony was the go-to for the sake of gaming, while Xbox for the sake of overall entertainment for like different aspects of entertainment. So if you're a hardcore gamer, you go to PlayStation. If you're a nonchalant player but want to collect as many games as you want at the same time, movies or TV shows, perhaps you'll do that chat with the Kinect and all. You go to how you go to Xbox. So with the Xbox Connect and all. But the Sony company they should have thought this through because the, yes, I know the pandemic is pretty much over as of like May of this year, officially by the presidency and all. But that doesn't mean that people are not strung up with cash. Like we don't have like the kind of money to spend $100 easily, if not $150 every year on the top tier premium edition of the PS Plus. Last time I checked, so it's like, yes, Xbox. If you pay for regular price of the Ultimate Edition or the Ultimate pricing of the Game Pass, whatever it's called, that's like $200 a month easily plus tax and all. And if it's an original pricing, can't imagine how it is
Did you
now.
just say $200 a month?
$200 a year. Sorry, $200 a year.
I was about to say.
Yeah, excuse me, guys. I'll get some focus on two different things at the same time. That's my problem. But yeah, Xbox will have 200 a year on Ultimate Pass at last my check when I went by originally. So it's kind of like Sony's just basically just killing itself because Xbox was dominating, not really dominating, but like they had a consistent flow of services over the last 10 years easily. While PlayStation, they catch up good in PS4 era, the cycle of it all. But after by PS5, it's like they lack in the launch title games like the Bridge of Spirits or something of that sort, that kind of games and other titles that are supposed to be out there by like 3 years ago. So it's yeah, it's interesting to see that PS is taking this risky move to make some money.
Yeah. So I mean, if yeah, so I have to say my thing about it. Yeah, I mean, this really comes at a bad time because I mean, if you look at like the world's or at least the country's situation, a lot of people are hurting. This is not 2019. You know, we're not dealing with 2019 money coming in. Well, most people aren't dealing with the money that they had coming in 2019. So I'm just saying, I'm starting to wonder maybe retro is I always joke retro's the better way to go. Maybe it is the way to go. Get yourself a PS2 or a system of your choosing and just get the games themselves from eBay or whatever, and continue gaming that way if you don't really care about the new ones. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
Instead of, or if at least if you're there for the retro games, get the retro games yourself with the retro system. I mean, but yeah, so I mean, PlayStation Plus had to raise their prices. I don't know anyone. So I mean, and these prices already went into effect for anyone who's planning will have who will have to renew their subscription at whatever point.
yeah. PlayStation. Uh, I hear bad things about PlayStation over the years. They're being shady and all, and this is one way for them to show them true colors. And this is it. And they guess that as of like next week or two, the Xbox we subscribe, that I subscribe to, the Gold Edition and all, it's gonna be expired. I'm gonna have to save money for other things, and that means it ends. So I'm trying to go for the PC gaming once again, like I did back in 2007 when I had the actual equipment to play PC at the time, thanks to my family and all. But those days are been so many years, if not decades, I haven't gone into PC gaming like that and delved into because I have so much Steam games now, and I only play like Tekken 7 for about an hour, or about 3 hours at a time, whatever. The library version shows, so it's on PC that is. So it's kind of like I have a bad PC and all. So gamers who are in our positions, at least working class, they're like, okay, either I get the PlayStation or Xbox for pay extra for it, they're not going to afford it after this year. But for the PC, there's a long term investment. So I'm seeing that thanks to PlayStation now, I'm more guaranteed to definitely not pay anything else into the gaming, the online console gaming services, but same with PC where it's free on that platform. So
Yeah. The good news about even after your gold subscription expires is any games with gold that are Xbox 360 or Xbox original, you'll be able to re-download them even if your Game Pass or gold subscription is not current.
that's correct.
So even if you're not that even if they're not downloaded when your subscription expires, you can still download them. You can still download Xbox One games with gold, but you can't play them unless you have a subscription, which is ridiculous.
I hope they'll change that sooner rather than later. And I hope that statement is true because I never experienced that before yet. I've been renewing my gold for how many years? At least good 3 4 years straight, and I never had a break where I don't stop paying or had to renew it or reoccur the billing. So
Yeah, so well, I hope they change that too. I mean, it wasn't exactly like we got the games for free if we have to keep our subscription active. But unfortunately, that's the way it is with online gaming nowadays.
oh yeah,
Ready to move on?
yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Next, hold on. Okay. Next, AKI joins the Street Fighter 6 roster next month. Earlier this month, Capcom released an all-new character named AKI coming to Street Fighter 6 as a DLC fighter. Now, the company has revealed that AKI will hit the game later next month on September 27th, alongside a twisted gameplay reveal trailer. When AKI joins the fight next month, she'll be the 20th playable character in Street Fighter 6, following the first DLC fighter, Rashid, who hit the game in July. Like Rashid and all future DLC fighters, players will encounter AKI across all three modes of Street Fighter 6, World Tour, Fighting Ground, and the Battle Hub. As you can see, AKI has quite the poisonous moves. Capcom says she draws much of this toxic personality and moveset from her master Fang, first introduced in Street Fighter V. In the single-player World Tour mode, players can learn about AKI's interest in the evil Shadaloo organization and help her find her herbal medicine in Tianhangyang, a new location for players to meet their newest master and apply her deadly moves to their custom avatar, a press release reads. Here's a quick rundown of her moves. Serpent Lash. AKI sends her nails flying forward like a chain from a distance, poisoning enemies on contact. If she strikes a poisoned opponent, a Toxic Blossom will trigger an explosion and open enemies up to follow-up attacks. The Nightshade Pulse. AKI sends a bubble forward that poisons enemies that it contacts. She can then strike the bubble with her Nightshade Chaser move to pop the bubble in advance, increasing its area of effect. Orchid Spring. AKI puts a puddle of poison before her, affecting enemies who step into it. Sinister Slide. AKI slithers across the screen to avoid hits, giving her an easy method to follow up with moves like Venomous Fang, Heel Strike, and Entrapment. Claws of Yazi. AKI's level 3 super art pieces pressure points on an enemy's body and inject poison into them that detonates from inside. AK's Eye Outfit 2 will be available to all owners of the Year 1 Character Pass, Street Fighter 6 Deluxe Edition or Ultimate Edition on September 27th. You can try it out for an hour with the Rental Fighter ticket obtained through the Fighting Pass. The AKI Arrives Fighting Pass goes live on September 1st at midnight Pacific for a limited time, allowing players to earn and unlock AKI-themed items and cosmetics. While waiting for AKI to hit the game on September 27th, we Game Informer's review of Street Fighter 6. Are you excited to fight with and against AKI next month?
To be honest with me, myself right now, as a former Street Fighter gamer back in the day when I was a teenager, I never heard of AKA any sort of way. So obviously, it's a new character, so it's like,
She's brand new. That's why you never heard of her.
yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, guys. It's just that I know I should kept up to date with the Street Fighter 6 news. I've been focused on the Tekken 8 that's coming out later this year. So with Street Fighter 6, yeah, it looks much better in like animation, graphics, and gameplay and all. So I saw at least the trailer, a preview trailer, or one of those like clips from those other YouTubers that tend to promote the Street Fighter 6. So it's pretty cool. It's we got the Akuma. I'm sure he's back. Gonna be back in that game. Ryu, Ken, Chun Li, Gayu, the long arm guy, a long arm and hand guy, the one that stretches out like a rope.
Dawson.
Yeah, what's his name? What's his name again?
Dawson.
Dawson. Yeah, I can't pronounce that properly until you mentioned this. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I really didn't follow Street Fighter after Street Fighter 2, after all the multiple releases of Street Fighter 2. So,
okay.
so it's kind of like when you're naming Ryu, Ken, it's like, the old days.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 3. Then at first time in at least 10, if not 15 years, they finally came out with Street Fighter 4 back in 2009, if not 2008, last time I checked. For Street Fighter 4 for the Xbox 360 and PS3 era. So that was pretty cool. I got that on sale, Street Fighter 4 for about not even like $7, something like that, on the
I
Xbox
think
Store.
I think I have the arcade mode that was released early for that game.
Okay.
Like I played it on video once, but I think it's just the arcade mode, nothing else.
Right, right. Okay, because Street
Because
Fighter.
they were doing something they were doing something like that. I think they were trying to get it out for an esport competition in time. So they're
Right.
like, well, release part of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. As personally, as a fighter gamer, like a video game fighter gamer for sorts, I should have kept on up to date with the Street Fighter competition, Street Fighter news, Street Fighter story, because obviously it says at least since Street Fighter, if at least since Street Fighter Alpha, or if it involved the versus games, Street Fighter versus X-Men games that kept up to date with in detail about Street Fighter. So it's such a long time. So that's got to be at least 15 years last time. That's just when the Street Fighter 4 came out. I was like, what? If I have the fourth game, literally. So it's kind of like after that, I stopped keeping track of everything. Stick with Halo for 15 years until now. For the last 2 or 3 years, Apex Legends. So yeah, it's so many memories I developed in developing gaming, and that's the same way as it used to
Yeah,
be. Because back in the day, the
yeah,
90s and 2000s, you could go to arcade and play so many different other fighting games like that. It's amazing to me. And it's there was barely trash, or there was trash talking here and there, but you don't like see fights breaking out in person and shit like that. But now online, they just trash talk like crazy, like to everyone's ridiculous.
yeah. And not to mention, just for me, I don't. I'm not still on. I'm not playing Street Fighter. I've never played 5 or 6. Like I said, my last experience was with 4. Um, but I really wouldn't care about this character. It almost sounds like a ripoff of Poison Ivy from the Batman universe.
Right. All right.
Except that Poison Ivy had claws instead of normal hands.
Right.
But so yeah, I'm not totally excited about this character. But then again, most things Street Fighter I might find interesting, but none of it really gets me excited anymore.
Yeah, most of the female Street Fighter characters they make them very like over sexualized. But for the last couple of recent Street Fighter games, they try to tone it down a bit, for the sake of like the message they call it on the internet, or the social justice version of itself. Because that's where you see those advertisements. You see the Gillette advertising. You see the gaming aspect with the Sarkeesian also. You know the deal, guys. About what's going on with the recent games of these long standing franchises.
Well, if you want to talk about women dressing conservatively in fighting games, just look at the most recent Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Uh,
I haven't just played that game. I got the copy of it for like $10, but get a chance to play it yet.
I just like Lord of Patriarchy. He was doing a stream not too long ago. He's like, the women in Mortal Kombat are dressed more conservatively than the nuns of Saint Sebastian.
Yeah, it sucks, man. Like, sex sells. If you don't, I'm not saying you have to be a pervert to do this stuff, or you're a pervert, Dr. Gates, for talking about sexualizing women. Like, dude, ladies and gentlemen, like, in public in general, if anyone's listening out there right now, and later in the future, this has been a big thing since the '80s, late '80s, early '90s, to have to sell sexual themed stuff like that. If you don't put that in the game as part of not the package or necessarily solely, but a part of it, you're not gonna get good sales. The guys are not gonna be like necessarily the guys to be turned on by it, but it's like it's a way of putting shit out. Small language, putting shit out there very well. That's what makes the
Yeah,
character stand out.
I mean, I think about the Sega CD game Night Trap that came out in the '90s. All the women that went there for the party were wearing sports bras. I mean,
Okay.
there's a reason for that.
Yeah, but now in today's world, it's all about like the 300-pound, 400-pound land whale, which I don't like. But you're wrong. I do like all kinds of women. I'm just saying like there's a certain limit to like how much more can you put that out there in that flabbergasting version of itself. Like you can't just be like put any kind of woman out there or any kind of man out there on the advertisement field. So
Yeah, not to mention if you're putting some, like you said, a land whale out there, looking at like it's like what are you really promoting? Are you promoting the obese lifestyle as something that people should strive for?
Yeah, even our teacher, I hope not bring up his. I shouldn't bring up his real name, but let's call him Mr. T. But he's my English teacher for the 11th and 12th grade. You remember Mr. T, right? Triple J.
I
Not the.
remember Mr. T, the '80s character. I don't remember Mr. T, the teacher.
Well, okay, his name is Mr. Turner. There, I said it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Him
I
I
tried.
remember.
Yeah,
I never had him. I never had him as a teacher, but he like did visit my math class one time. He was like not tormenting, but he was playing around with another student, like
Okay,
because the student was going to another school, and
okay.
Mr. T was like, maybe I should call that school and give them some advice from, and the student was like, no, thank you.
Okay, yeah, because I gave him a CD, Final Phase 7, but the point is that with Mr. Turner and all, Mr. T, is that he talked about this stuff about that model in the magazines, and he showed different pictures and stuff, and obviously he's out on some newsstands everywhere at the time. So back then, he asked the class, "Would you want to see a 300-pound woman on the front cover of a magazine like that?" Like, and the class had a point. They would say, "Yeah, they got a good point, Mr. Turner." So, it was built in within us, over time as we were growing up and all. But now it's like, yeah, and I did have a girlfriend too when a girlfriend at the time for a couple of months, but that was a different story. We were younger, we were in our teenagers years, so it's a different story. But now it's like don't just bring any literally a living just someone with a pulse on in the Marlin magazine. It just doesn't look appealing, like especially if it's not a sexualized. It's just not. It doesn't look right. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, if you're a big Street Fighter fan, AKI will be joining the roster, if not already, later this month.
Okay.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Next, everything we learned from today's Super Mario Brothers Wonder Direct. Hold on, let me get rid of this advertisement. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is right around the corner, but outside of the initial reveal trailer, we didn't know much about Nintendo's latest 2D platformer. However, today's showcase was packed to the brim with gameplay reveals and new details, and now we've got a much clearer picture of what this game will look like. Wonder no longer. Here's everything we learned from the Super Mario Bros. Wonder Direct. The game starts when Princess Florian, ruler of the Flower Kingdom, has his cast. Oh, Prince Florian. Okay, they said his, and I was like, "What?" Ruler of the Flower Kingdom has his castle stolen by Bowser. After fusing with a Wonder Flower, the King of the Koopas is able to fly over this new land, populating it with his chaotic cronies. As always, it's up to Mario and friends to save the day, but this time around, he's got more buddies than usual. In addition to Luigi, Peach, and a pair of Toads, Toadette and Daisy are also along for the ride. Unlike some past games, each character here plays the same, meaning Peach has no built-in floating ability, and Luigi jumps just as high as Mario. For younger or less skilled players, you can play as Yoshi or Nabbit, the latter which is returning from his debut in New Super Luigi U. Neither of these characters takes damage from enemies, so they're useful for people who want to play the game with less of a challenge. The Yoshis also retain their signature Flutter Jump and Swallowing abilities, and they can even be ridden by other players. The Flower Kingdom is made up of 7 worlds: Pipe, Rock, Flow 2, Pipe, Rock, Flow 2, Fluff Puff Peak, Shining Falls, the Petal Isles, and 3 more that have yet to be named. The map is traversed like a standard Mario overworld, locking you to certain paths on your way to a set order of courses, but there are also sections where you can move around freely and tackle courses in any order. There will also be a course menu you can use to easily access courses, in case you don't feel like walking there every time. Once you enter one of the courses, there are a few new power-ups to make use of. The Elephant Power allows you to use your trunk as a weapon, smash bricks more easily, run across large gaps, and store water for later use. We also saw a Bubble Power that allows you to summon bubbles for offense or platforming, along with the Drill Power-up that can damage enemies above you and allow you to burrow into the ground or ceiling. Other than traditional power ups, there are other ways to give your characters new abilities. The flashiest examples of this are Wonder Flowers, which trigger dramatic visual and artistic stage transformations. As examples, we saw warp pipes jump to life, hordes of enemies spawning, and characters transforming into balloons or spike balls. Once you collect a Wonder Seed, the stage will return to normal. These seeds can later be used to unlock new courses. The other new abilities come from badges, which are equipable items that alter your gameplay style. Examples here include a parachute cap, a dolphin kick that gives you a burst of speed underwater, and a grappling vine. You can only equip one at a time, and you'll have to unlock them over the course of the game, but this seems like a subtle way to massively change your gameplay experience. Finally, the Direct gave us a look at Super Mario Bros. Wonder's multiplayer options. You can play with 4 players locally, but instead of turning into bubbles when they die like in previous games, they become ghosts. If another player can reach them before their timer runs out, they'll respawn with no life lost. If you enable online play, you'll be able to see other players as shadows, playing courses at the same time as you. They can also bring your ghost back to life either by manually touching you or by placing a standee in a course. Standees are basically signposts modeled after characters and can be purchased from a Poplin shop. If you want to play online with friends, some courses will also allow you to race through them. By hitting a race block with shadows in the same course, you can trigger a timer to see who can reach the end first, though this will sometimes require you to defeat a boss or collect a Wonder Seed as well. That's everything we learned about Super Mario Bros. Wonder, but the Direct didn't end there. We also learned about Mario-themed OLED Switch out just a few weeks before the game. Even though this game won't feature Charles Mariner as the voice of Nintendo's iconic plumber anymore, we can't help be excited to leap into the Flower Kingdom. So, what do you think of this news about the next Mario game?
Yeah, me, Charles, can I play as Mario anymore? It's a me, Mario.
Well, was he the original voice of Mario?
Which is 1980s, yes. Charles, you
Okay.
mentioned Charles, yeah, Charles something you mentioned, his last name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. I'm just joking. Sorry, that
No,
was a joke.
that's no, guys, that's not him.
I was trying to joke around at first, but yeah, that was yeah, he's been up for a good 20 years last time I checked. That was just Mario 64. That's when we first. That was
He
when we
was
first
actually,
finally got the actual voice acting of Mario. Last time I checked too. The game
actually
was.
he was I forget if it was Gamehead or Game Trailers, but he was on an episode of Gamehead or Game Trailers explaining how he came up with the voice for Mario and everything.
Okay.
Actually, since we're talking about him, he told Jeff Keighley, who was the host, that uh, he was actually supposed to audition for I guess for like a plumber character, and he got to the audition late. But when he got there, they were still packed. They still hadn't packed everything up, so they let this guy go and do the voice acting audition. But he didn't want to sound like a stereotypical Italian, so he did the Mario voice.
Okay.
And he says doesn't remember what he said in the audition, but he just kept talking till the tape ran out. Needless to say, he didn't get the job, but he walked away with this new voice he created, and that eventually became the voice of Super Mario.
Oh, okay. So he was behind all that
But
screaming and stuff in N64, like wow, and Yahoo! Yeah, that was some good memories back to the first time I played it.
yeah, well, I'm sorry, Mario 64 is completely played out.
Really, you see,
I
it
cannot,
was it polished.
I cannot, like, I can, even though I never beat it, I cannot enjoy that game anymore.
It ain't like fine wine to me. I just need to get find the game first in my in my system together and play it with you guys.
I'll play almost any Mario game, but like I can't play that one anymore. I just,
Hmm.
but anyway, this new Mario game, Super Mario Brothers Wonder. What do you think of this? Now, not in the Mushroom Kingdom. Now we're in the Flower Kingdom.
Well, it's such a long time I kept track of Mario like that. And the last time I kept track of Mario was with a YouTuber slash Twitch streamer by the name of Shokyo. I'm actually Facebook friends with him. He's a big Mario, not Mario, but more of a big fan towards Super Smash Brothers. He's one of those major
Okay.
league players of sorts. The top, kind of like the top of the, not the top of the top, but he's good at Smash Brothers. And I've been following him and been Facebook friends with him for about 10 years almost, if not more so. So it's been so that's why I kept up to date with Mario and Smash Brothers. But other than that, this game, I think they should call it quits. Maybe try to end the Mario not end it, but try to sum up the Mario game somehow, so in another trilogy of games, and that's about it. Call it quits. Give it a break for a few decades, because you can't overuse the same IP over and over like that for another 25, 30 years, and still continuing. It's just not going to work after a while.
So you think maybe they should have been released more sparingly, like Donkey Kong Country did?
After a certain amount of time, yeah, it's been at least since 1986 of the official Mario game based on the American version of itself. It's been like 40 years almost this 2026. So gotta wrap it up, Nintendo.
Okay, honestly I'm surprised by that. My
Yeah.
last experience, my last latest experience with the Mario games is Super Mario is the Wii U games. I did beat New Super Mario Brothers U. I could not play New Super Luigi U. I just it just starting with 100 seconds and starting with the music all hyped up and everything right from the start. It I couldn't get into it. I do have Super Mario 3D World for the Wii U or Super Mario 3D Worlds. Um,
Hmm.
that's almost beat. I just gotta get enough green stars to access the last castle. Um, so yeah, I mean, I never got to play New Super Mario Brothers 2. I never got to play the Switch versions, and this is obviously coming out on Switch also. Um, it's actually kind of interesting because now you get to play as the female versions of Toad. You play as Princess Daisy, and you can play as well if you want to. If you want an easy game, you can play as Yoshi. But also, I like the fact that like if you're playing the game online, you can race people through the course at least in some courses, and um, it's almost like a Sonic Generations kind of thing because like they had those races in Sonic Generations also.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so I mean, it's interesting. That's all I got to say. I even though I don't have a Switch, I do find it interesting.
Hmm. I understand.
Uh, Ready to move on, or
Yeah, ready.
all right, next. Gunbrella. Hold on. Just let
Gumbrella.
me
That
check.
sounds cool. Yeah, we're on. We're on.
Gunbrella blasted its way to Switch and PC this month. Gunbrella is exactly what it sounds like. You shoot enemies with a gun that's also an umbrella. It's the second action title game from Gato Roboto developer Donksoft, and we now know it's coming on September 13th. A new trailer provides a new look at Gumbrella's explosive retro-inspired action. Players control a woodsman seeking revenge for the death of his wife, with players using their weaponized umbrella to blast apart foes or as a platforming tool. For example, you can use the umbrella to glide, swing, or slide around levels, among other uses. We went hands-on with Gumbrella's Steam demo and walked away impressed. You can watch us give it a spin on this episode of New Gameplay today. Gunbrella will be available on Switch and PC. What do you think of Gunbrella? I mean, they do have a that's just a release date trailer. So,
I have to say that
um,
that sounds very catchy, Gumbrella. That sounds like a good series that they keep making for a few years, if not a couple of decades at most. Depends on how you spread it out throughout those 20 years, in my perspective. I never really played Gunbrella before. I heard of it thanks to you, of course, earlier this week when we played ahead on this podcast and all. But I didn't see the trailer yet. I will admit that. So it seems I saw the
oh,
pictures
it's
of it
just
now.
I would show it, but it's just a release date trailer, so we
Right.
wouldn't get much information out of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And was it ever on the Xbox or PS versions? No.
No, it's just coming to Switch and PC so far.
So it's a new franchise of itself, huh?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Very catchy. It kind of reminds me of Ruby, the RWBY web series you see with Ruby Rose and other characters in it. There's this one particular character by name of she's an assistant slash partner with Torchwick, who's the leader of this gang that tried to collect all the dust. They call it in the Ruby universe and all. And in volume 2, episode 1, 2, or 3, or 4, one of the first 5 episodes, you sit to see her in action with an umbrella. You know, using an umbrella for like teleported and for doing weird moves with it. Like, it was like sort of from like to make sure Jackie Chan with Bruce Lee, but and her style of fighter, but with her umbrella. You know, it's I think her name was called Napoleon. Her nickname or her fighting name. Basically, she's like this one some family with the Torchwick and stuff. So it's yeah, right, it was pretty cool. So if this game Umbrella is going to be like that in some kind of way, but to a male a male character or whatever, then by all means go for it. Let's see how good it is. You know.
Okay, so these are the new franchises you want that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, it does sound cool. Like I said, it's a gun that's also an umbrella. It looks like it. So yeah, it sounds cool. I mean, hopefully it'll come to Xbox, or I'll be able to get my hands on a Switch soon to try it. But yeah, so it's if you have a Switch or a PC, a gaming PC, you'll be in luck.
And by the sound of things, Triple J, it sounds like Umbrella's also made by a independent studio, right? It was like a small studio of sorts.
I think so. I think like Dunksoft was the name of the studio that made it,
Okay,
and
because
I think as I gathered from the article, they only made one other game so far. So
right, because if they keep it up, if they get good sales going to come in with this Umbrella game, and also put out the Windows game and Steam and all, and hell, within the next couple of games from now, if they keep making 3, 4, 5 games, they can turn it into an actual AAA title if it's sold by the third game, if ever, you know, and continue on from there. So I'm more power to this game, and hopefully it's very good by the if it sounds like the game title. So
yeah, so if like I said, if you got a Switch or PC, you'll be able to try this game when it comes out. Um, Ready to move on?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Next. Holston is a survivor horror game set in the 90s with a unique shooter twist. Newcomer studio Sanka has released a new gameplay trailer for its horror game, Holston. This new trailer reveals a fun twist on the game's shooting mechanics and comes alongside word that there's a demo now available on Steam. The trailer is short, running less than a minute, but it showcases the game's terrifying ambiance, throwback visual style, and zombie-like creatures that have seemingly infested the small 1990s Polish town Holston it is set in. It also highlights that part of the game are playable on isometric third-person shooter like last year's Signalis, and as an over-the-shoulder third-person shooter like in Capcom's recent Resident Evil remake. A psychological survivor horror game set in an eerie, isolated 90s Polish town consumed by an ominous presence, the Holston Steam page reads. You've come looking for answers, but everyone seems possessed by something foul. Explore the festering town, interrogate locals, and fight ungodly manifestations to get to the truth. There's no release date in sight for Holston, but you can try the game for yourself today through a demo available on Steam right now. Holston is set to release one day on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. For more scary games, read Game Informer's list of the top 10 horror games to play right now, and then read our list of the top 25 horror games of all time after that. So what do you think about this game, Holston?
Sounds very I don't know if you call it catchy, but more like this dreariness of a title. It's like you holster a gun and you have to save your ammunition for the later boss fight type of survival horror, like Resident Evil, for example.
That is what I'm trying to say. That was like what it was like in Resident Evil games.
Okay.
If you remember the old school Resident Evil ones, you just couldn't go around shooting everything. you had to conserve your ammo and
Mm-hmm. The first three Resident Evils, if not Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica, as if at Code Veronica X, that's usually involves like extra scenes, different scenes, whatever. Then there's also Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6. Well, first three Resident Evils definitely were the ones of like survival horror. Like you have to conserve your ammo for the bosses, especially the last couple bosses. Depends on how you look at
Code
it.
Veronica did fit that also. I
Yeah, it
mean,
did.
4, 5, and 6 were you kind of had could you kind of I'd just say there were too many enemies to shoot all together, so you
Right.
did have to conserve your ammo, but it was more parasite infested locals than instead of actual zombies.
Oh yeah.
But 5 and 6 were just meant to be like action games,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, anyway.
Right.
Um, yeah. Yeah, this sounds if you're an old school Resident Evil fan, you might enjoy this. They didn't give specifics. They didn't say when it will be come out. So, but if you're someone who enjoyed the old school Resident Evil games, you might enjoy this one too.
If I recall correctly, too, back in the '90s, they had another franchise of a game called the Clock Tower, or a Clock Tower, or the Clock Tower, and
Just Clock Tower.
okay, it says the Clock Tower on the most recent version that came out sometime this month, and I think it's on Steam most likely as well too. So, but it's kind of like that kind of survival horror game by any chance, Triple J? If you know, no.
Um, Survive. It kind of was because like it really in Clock Tower, the first one. I only played the first and third one.
Okay.
The first one was basically a point and click game, so you really didn't have attacks. Basically, like when Scissor Man comes and finds you in the first level, you have to basically hide from him
Right.
until you're able to escape, unless Scissor Man found you first. Um, and the third one, um, yeah, it was basically running, completing puzzles until you got to the end. Then a bow and arrow. Then you got like a bow with infinite arrows at the end, which was the boss fight.
Mm.
Um, but leading up to the boss fight, when you were completing puzzles and stuff, all you had to protect yourself was holy water, and that would only stun your whoever the boss was for like a couple seconds.
This is all in Clock Tower. Wow.
That's Clock Tower 3. Clock Tower 1 was a point and click game. There were multiple endings but Clock Tower was real short. This was, again, I'm talking about the American version. I'm not talking about the Super Nintendo version that was only released overseas.
Right.
The PlayStation version that was released in America, yeah, it was point and click, and it was really short. Even if you went through all the levels, you could beat the game like in 3 hours
That's not
or
bad.
close to it.
Hmm. Interesting.
And then Clock Tower 2, I've seen some gameplay, but I never played it myself. And Clock Tower 3, I've actually beaten.
Okay. Hmm.
And that was more of an action. It was basically just the same as Clock Tower, except for the boss fights um, and it wasn't point and click. It was actual controls.
Oh. Okay. Now, whatever happened to Clock Tower 2? Is that still available in the United States?
It should be. All three games should be. Actually, now you made me wonder, so I'll look it up on price charting. Clock Tower 2 was like the Evil Within. It was basic. I think it was meant to deal with like a good person and a bad person, but they're the same person. So
Right.
let's see. Let me look at Clock Tower. Clock Tower on PlayStation. Ooh, Jesus Christ! These games went up. Clock Tower, loose for PlayStation, $144.50.
Damn. That's a lot.
Let's see. Clock Tower 2 for PlayStation. These are American versions. Clock Tower 2, $273.38 loose.
Okay.
Clock Tower 3 for PlayStation 2. This isn't so bad. It's like $50 loose.
Yeah, it's the most recent one that came out.
Yeah, it's the third one.
Okay.
I'm surprised, and I used to have the first Clock Tower. I actually
Right.
sold it, and I didn't sell it for. Let's see how much the complete version is going for.
Gotta be at
The
least like
complete
500.
version, it's no, it's just $164. But I sold it for like $50 back in the day.
Right.
This
Oh,
this was years ago, like when I was still living in New York. So
oh, where you were back then?
obviously,
Okay.
so the prices were weren't as inflated as they are now. But
Yeah, because the scalpers, excuse my language, they fucked up the system where the scalpers are basically thinking about money, not thinking about like preserving the games. That's all it is for the last 5 years or so. And since then, prices keep went up for PS2 games, 360 games, and even N64 games. So I'm like, whatever happens, just selling it at a good price. Whatever selling at a decent price because not everyone can afford that 1,000, 2,000, if not $100,000 first edition Super Mario Brothers game from the 1980s. Like, come on now. Like that's kind of like selling, you trying to sell like if you want to exchange for some weapons and shit like that. That's gonna be like top tier people right there. Like you gotta be like a rich, wealthy Saudi Arabia, freaking presidency of Israel somehow, some way. Like those kind of type of guys buying and selling video games for weapons and stuff like that. That's kind of crazy right there. You know what I'm saying, Triple J?
mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah,
because I don't know what these people on eBay doing, but they're selling like these Super Mario Brothers first edition they call it for like 100,000, 300,000, depends upon which one you're trying to get. It's crazy, man, on eBay.
people just think they have a bunch of. I hate to say this because I'm a reseller myself, but obviously my prices aren't like that. But
Right.
uh, people are just trying to. Every a bunch of people think, hey, I have Super Mario Brothers. That person sold it for 30,000. I could sell mine for 30,000.
Yeah.
No, not exactly.
Especially if you have a brand new wrapped up in a special like box, a clear box, like one of those type of packagings. Like that's a true authentic, first edition Japanese version, for Super Mario Bros. 1985 or 86, 87, whatever those editions were. So it's kind of like you gotta understand people. Like you gotta think about like what you have first, and then try to sell at that price, not because you want it to be that price.
Yeah, I just decided to look up Chrono Trigger prices.
They
For
gotta got the
Nintendo DS,
Chronos. Sorry, go ahead.
for Nintendo DS, Chrono Trigger loose costs $70.
That's not bad.
For Super for Super Nintendo, a loose cartridge costs $200.
Damn. Thank God I got my
Yes.
PS1 version for about like 30, not even $30. I got it on
Last I
sale.
checked, if it's Final Fantasy IV Chronicles, I think you're talking about.
Well, we're
Um,
talking about Chrono Trigger.
yeah, but it was a package on PlayStation called Final Fantasy Chronicles, which
Oh
was
yeah, yeah,
Final Fantasy IV and Chrono Trigger together.
yeah. It came with a Final Fantasy game as well. I forgot which one though. I have it somewhere on my desk, my other desk. That's how much. That's how many games I got, people. So
It was Final Fantasy IV, which was probably two in Japan. No.
States.
Final Fantasy IV. Um, okay, yeah. So I don't know if it was the Japan four or United States. Oh no, they renamed four too. So anyway, it came with Final Fantasy IV, I think,
Okay.
or Final Fantasy VI, whichever one. But that's still. I mean, loose. It's $18. Complete. This package is $35. So it's not not outrageous like other prices.
Yeah. I think especially since the pandemic, that's when scalpers were too desperate and too greedy, because you saw like fucking PS5s for about like 1,000, 2,000, sometimes even $3,000, depending upon where you're getting it from in the world, for that kind of money. So it's kind of like, what these scalpers are thinking of, like, they got some nerve to take up the spaces of buying it online. It's only to buy it at local very retails, but buying it online is kind of like a fucked up mood, a very sketchy, unprofessional move to take. They take up all that space to take up all that pre-order requests because you have to be invited on to
Yeah.
buy the game at the time. So these scalpers must have done something to the system to screw up that kind of system, that system of buying. You know,
Yeah.
the system. What I'm trying to say is
So
that the transaction system. I'm trying to say, yeah,
yeah. So again, um, yeah. So hold on.
yeah,
Um, yeah. So we were talking about Holston. Like I said, it's coming to Switch and PC. Um, so if you have a gaming PC or Nintendo Switch, you'll be in luck. Ready to move on?
Yeah, well, let's go. Let's do this.
All right. Next, Xbox Game Pass adds yet another game this week. Fishing fans are in luck. Xbox Game Pass sees the will. Hold on. Uh, some advertisement opened itself up. Okay, Xbox Game Pass sees the release of two more games this week, one of which we didn't know was coming to the subscription service. The excellent Sea of Stars releases today, August 29th. Well, we already knew about that. Expansive Worlds has confirmed that its open world fishing game, Call of the Wild, The Angler, is also headed to Game Pass and soon. The game hits Game Pass on August 30th. Call of the Wild, The Angler, makes its console debut via Game Pass, and it'll also be available for purchase for $30. The Angler is also coming to PS5 and PS4, and PC players can get it through Game Pass for PC or by purchasing it outright. You can check out the video below to hear from the studio about the process of bringing the Angler to a console. The Angler has performance and quality modes on PS5. This is Avalanche's first PS5 game, and Xbox Series X, allowing players to choose between higher frame rate or graphical quality and resolution. The console edition also includes the improvements from this Evolution update that came to PC recently, introducing an updated tutorial, an overhauled progressive system, 8 additional fish species, and a variety of quality of life updates. The Angler is a fishing game that allows players to explore an open world and seek out rivers and lakes to find and catch fish. You can play solo or by teaming up with up to 11 other people via cross-play co-op. The game has all different types of fish, each with their own unique behavior and methods to catch them. You can create and customize a character and take part in story missions or just explore the open world. Expansive Worlds, which is a division of Just Cause developer Avalanche, also runs the live service hunting game The Hunter, Call the Wild. That game is also on Game Pass. So, are you interested in this fishing game?
Kind of runs in that Sega Bass Fishing for the Dreamcast as well as for the arcade back in the day. Because
Yeah.
back in the many years ago, I feel like it's decades now, Chuck E. Cheese had the game called Sega Bass Fishing as well. So whatever Chuck E. Cheese was doing back then made me want to buy that game later on. But I never got a chance to get the game because it was either expensive or I didn't have the equipment, the tool to use the fishing rod and all. Because you get to buy the fishing rod for about, say, about 50, $60 at the time. It was pretty good. It's a pretty good accessory for the Dreamcast last time I checked. So it feels very realistic last time I checked too. But yeah, other than that, this fishing game of today, it's like, wow, what was it? Somebody actually had a fishing game of that's mainstreamed in advertisements. So, hopefully it will do well in sales this month or whenever the fall season comes around. Take the chance.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly, you probably expect me to make fun of it, but I've had fun playing fishing games before.
Oh yeah.
I always wanted to play the Bass game for the Dreamcast. I just had the demo though. But I've played a couple like Friend 60. I think one Friend 64, one for Game Boy Advance. I've enjoyed it. They never had story modes. They never had like story modes though. It was basically just catch a big enough fish to qualify for the tournament or whatever. So this game it depends how arcadey it's going to be. It depends. I mean, they did say there's going to be an open world that you can either partake in the story or just explore. And like they said, there's going to be different fish to catch, different ways to catch different fish. So I'd say I'd give it a chance if I still have Game Pass. I mean, I don't, but I'm not negatively against it like people would probably expect me to be.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
I just want to say though that the Sega Bass Fishing on Dreamcast, especially for the arcade, those must be gotta be expensive now to buy them because they're not making those. Obviously, they're not making them anymore. So hopefully one day I will collect that kind of game if I can find the authentic, brand new copy for itself. It doesn't have to be nothing fancy where it's like actually first copy ever type of shit. But if I ever become like a very wealthy person, want to buy that Sega Bass Fishing, of its used, and then as well as with a brand new edition. So that's my goal is to get that one of those games before I die. You know?
I want to see Sega Bass Fishing for the Dreamcast. Loose, it's $10. Complete, it's $13.
No,
So it's
it's
not expensive at all.
really. It doesn't include the fishing rod accessory.
No, it's just the game.
That's why you have to get the fishing rod accessory. It was a specific um, accessory for the Dreamcast for that game or games on the Dreamcast. So it's hard to find them these days.
Yeah, I don't even see it here on price charting. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter though. I played Sega Bass Fishing with the controller. It was fine.
Yeah, I mean it's not the same though. Like you see at the arcade, you know.
Are you sure the fishing rod was that was released in America? Because I'm only finding the Japanese version.
Well, if I recall correctly, if the arcade machine in the United States had the fishing rod, so what they had to do for the same with Dreamcast. Last time I checked.
Okay, I'm just not seeing it here.
Okay.
But I mean, let's see, fishing duel. Yeah, I'm not even seeing. They said they have a controller bundle, but that's for the European Dreamcast.
Oh, okay.
They don't have like an American controller bundle.
Well, I see on Amazon for about $86 used so far.
Oh, okay,
It's very expensive. Now, at first, it sounds expensive, but it's like if I sacrifice a few things, I could buy it within next year. You know.
right. All right, so
Yeah, I'm ready to move on now if you like.
okay, That's what I was gonna say. PlayStation Plus essential free games for September 2023 are live now. September's PlayStation Plus games include open world, crime, fantasy, and sci-fi adventures. The new batch of PlayStation Plus essential games for September 2023 are available to claim now. Saints Row is the headliner in this next batch of games, as was leaked prior to the official reveal. Available from September 5th to October 3rd. September's PlayStation Plus games also include Back Desert and Generation Zero. All members across Central Extra and Premium can add the trio of games to their library. Saints Row was originally released in 2022 as a reboot of the franchise that is themed around the idea of self-made success only with gratuitous violence and devastation instead of more legal methods of entrepreneurship. Like the original games, it's set in an open-world environment which you can unleash some explosive chaos, insurance fraud, and help solidify the Saints as the top gang in town. The game received lukewarm reviews when it first launched due to a variety of technical bugs and janky gameplay, but developer Volition has updated Saints Row with several substantial patches and content drops since then. Uh, Combat is decent and the story missions are enjoyable when at the most over the top, but there's too much land filler in between, Richard Wakeling wrote in GameSpot's Saints Row review. Rebooting the series made sense, yet in many ways Saints Row is still stuck in the past and struggling to live up to its legacy. Generation Zero is set in a dangerous version of 1980s Sweden, where players will have to battle and survive against deadly machine enemies. The game can be played alone or with up to 3 friends in online co-op, and by scavenging parts from fallen enemies, you can craft equipment, weapons, and ammunition for the battles that lie ahead. Black Desert is a fantasy MMORPG with fast-paced player versus environment combat, large-scale player versus player siege wars, and multiple character classes to master, and the Travel Edition throws in multiple add-ons for the base version of the game. PlayStation Plus members who have already purchased any edition of Black Desert other than the Travel Edition may redeem the standalone Traveler item pack. Also of note to PlayStation Plus members is the price of every PlayStation Plus tier is increasing, which we talked about. Do you care about any of these games? Again, Saints Row Reboot, Black Desert, or Generation Zero?
Well, Saints Row 2022, I haven't get a chance to play yet. Obviously, I heard bad things about it. They said they can show it on, but
Yep.
it's not. I'll play. I'll play for a second of like hate playing. I will call it if it's on the Game Pass. If still this year, after it depends on before when I not use Game Pass anymore. As far as the other one, Generation Zero, it looked good on the trail last time I checked as a first impression, but then it's like I haven't just played it yet, so I can't say much about it. So Let's see if I play before December 14th and see what happens. So, other than that, the rest of the games I can't really think of. Can't really think of it being standing out
The
as.
only one left is Black Desert.
Yeah, Black Desert. Yeah, that's the. I barely played that game. Last time I checked. Last time I played was at least 2 3 years ago. So.
Okay. Yeah, I really. I think all three of these games, at least the last time I had Game Pass, they were all on there except for the Saints Row reboot.
Oh yeah.
Um, I think Black Desert and Generation Zero were on there. If I'm not on Game Pass, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, Saints Row reboot, I have absolutely no interest in. It pretty much killed the franchise instead of rebooting it. And I'd much rather play the original two Saints Row games anyway, which I still do have.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, honestly, I really don't care about any of the games that PlayStation Plus is offering this month. But that's just me. Anything else to say, or ready to move on?
That's about it for the time being. I'm ready to move on.
Okay. Next, Atari's making a Pong sequel about the ball escaping the paddles. What lies beyond the paddles in Pong? Well, it turns out quite a lot, actually. Pong is one of those video games that I don't need to explain. I say Pong and you could see it in your mind. But what if Pong was more? What if that ball you batted around for decades could escape and see the world? That's the question asked and answered in Q-Op 2, Atari's upcoming and odd sequel to Pong. Okay, I said I didn't need to explain Pong, but just so everyone here is on the same page, here we go. Pong was developed and published by Atari in 1972 and quickly became a pop culture phenomenon, a massive arcade hit, and helped establish the video game industry. Featuring two paddles, typically white on a black background, players control these digital paddles to bounce a white block, aka the ball, back and forth. If one player misses blocking the ball with their paddle, the other player gets a point. Repeat for decades. That's Pong. But what if when the ball was banked off your paddle, it kept going and going? That's Q-Op 2. That's what it looks like, QOMP. Atari is calling Comp 2 an artful reimagining of Pong, and I'd agree. In a new trailer released on August 29th, we can see the strange sequel in action, with Pong's iconic ball escaping and exploring new worlds and puzzle-filled levels. Players will use a simple two-button control scheme to explore and escape each area. Simply tap a button to change direction in 45-degree increments, and then hold and release a second button to dash forward. The Steam page for Q-Op 2 indicates it will have 30 levels spread across 4 different worlds. The game will also include boss fights and what Atari is calling an enigmatic story about doubt, fear, and self-acceptance. In other words, this isn't your grandpa's Pong, that's for sure. If Q-Op 2 seems familiar beyond its connection to Pong, that's because it's a sequel to the smaller indie game QOMP, released in 2021. That game had a similar concept, but on a smaller scale, and was developed by Stuffed Wombat. This new, bigger follow-up isn't being developed by Stuffed Wombat, but they seem happy about Q-Op 2. Atari didn't share a release date for Q-Op 2 Beyond coming soon. In the meantime, I guess you could play Pong while you wait. So, what do you think about this Pong sequel? I guess you could call it.
Well, Q-Home, that's like a sequel from the Pong, right? So,
No, Q-Op 2 is going to be the sequel.
so what is Q-Home is the original name for Pong then? Really?
No, Q-Op was it was a smaller indie game. It had a similar concept, but it was on a smaller scale. That's all the info they gave about Q-Op. Q-Op 2 is like Pong 2, I guess.
Okay. Interesting. That's like it's sort of like Pac-Man, the platforming game on the PS1. It's gonna be interesting to see. I think I'll put it into this type of game play. You know, it's because Pac-Man open world version. It's like one of those platform games, Pac-Man for PS1. It looked good on and when I saw it on TV as a commercial and all, so it advertised it more. I might see more possibility of like playing it for the first time, even pay for it. You know.
Yeah, I'm guessing this could work. I mean, they've had games like when I saw this at first, I was like, really? This is the best they could come up with for new games. But
Mm.
when you think of games, indie games like Super Meat Boy, it's kind of the same thing. Um,
Right.
so it's I'm thinking that's what that QOP 2 is going to be. It's just like kind of like Super Meat Boy, where you're bouncing around place trying to avoid death um, make it to the end of the game. I guess.
Okay.
Anything else to say, or ready to move on?
I just want to say that this Q off game, I hope it will reimagine or reinitiate the selling of, or at least try to buy the official version of the Pong game back with Odyssey in the 1970s and all. Because not every single gamer, but the ones who are collectors of these games. Because I'm sure it gets harder and harder as time progresses to find these older systems. So the older the system, the harder it is to find it. So hopefully they will improve on the matter to search for, or at least to reinitiate the selling overall these games and such. So just want to say that.
All right.
I'm ready.
Ready to move on?
Yep.
All right. Next. Embracer shuts down Saints Row studio Volition after 30 years. The restructuring comes after the Swedish media company reportedly lost out on $2 billion from the Saudi government. Volition, the studio behind Red Faction, Saints Row, and countless other games, is closing its doors after 30 years. The decision was made by parent company Embracer after the sprawling conglomerate announced cuts earlier this year following the loss of $2 billion in funding that was reportedly supposed to come from the controversial Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund. This past June, Embracer Group announced a restructuring program to strengthen Embracer and maintain its position as a leader in the video game industry, Volition announced on August 31st. In a statement to LinkedIn, as part of that program, they evaluated strategic and operational goals and made the difficult decision to close Volition effective immediately. The news was coincidentally shared shortly after reviews for Bethesda's spacefaring RPG Starfield went live, and Embracer declined to comment to Kotaku on why the decision was made or how many developers will be laid off as a result. Naturally, it is a challenging time for everyone impacted, and we are working with those team members with compassion, respect, and integrity. A spokesperson for Embracer wrote in an email. Um, Volition began its journey in 1993 as Parallax Software with the sci-fi first-person shooter Descent. The company was renamed after a split in 1996 and went on to survive the collapse of publisher THQ in 2012 before eventually becoming part of Koch Media, now PlayOn, itself later purchased by Nordic Games, now Embracer. Over 3 decades, it created the space combat sim Free Space, the shooter series Red Faction, the fantasy RPG Summoner, and the hit open-world parody of Grand Theft Auto, Saints Row. A reboot of the Saints Row series that released last year was its most recent game. It launched with lots of bugs and received mixed reviews, and reportedly didn't meet sales expectations despite continual updates and plenty of fans. It was one of a number of bug blockbusters whose less than stellar reputation forced Embracer to begin slashing projects and development teams across its massive organization after years of snatching up studios in unprecedented third-party acquisition spree. The publisher's financial health took a particular hard hit early this year when CEO Lars Wingfors revealed that a $2 billion deal the company had planned on suddenly fell through at the last minute. Axios later reported that the partner in question was Savvy Games Group, the gaming investment vehicle for the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund. The fund had already invested $1 billion in Embracer and maintains investments in Electronic Arts, Nintendo, and many other large gaming companies, while also being criticized for the country's terrible track record on human rights abuses. The Volition team has proudly created world-class entertainment for fans around the globe for 30 years, the studio wrote in its announcement today. We've been driven by a passion for our community and always work to deliver joy, surprise, and delight, Embracer said. It's trying to provide job assistance for those affected to smooth the transition. Franchises like Saints Row and Red Faction stay owned by PlayOn, the company confirmed. So, what do you think of Embracer having to, or Volition actually having to close down?
It was predictable after the Saints Row horrible launch because of the censorship and its misconception of the music copyright stuff like that. Because I hear that like if you try to play the stream version, is called or the streaming version of the game. Like if you want to stream on the Twitch or whatever, they cannot play different songs for the different for that different version. So it's kind of like screwed up the flow of like put it on the internet to other people to see as a streamer and all. So it didn't make as much sales because when people see it on stream like Twitch, D Live, and other platforms and all, they're gonna be like, "Oh wow, this looks like a good game at first." But now with that aspect of it, as well as the gameplay, it wasn't looking like the original Saints Row games we played the first Saints Row 1 and 2 on. And even the first Saints Row, yes, I only played it for about not even 30 minutes, but it was all right to play. It was like the GTA, pretty much, Grand Theft Auto. So
Yeah.
the studio screwed it up, and they had to take the loss. So more power, not more power, but at least less power for them, and hopefully they'll never bring another Saints Row game again after this. It's they should have left it at Saints Row 4 Get Out of Hell. That's it. But that's their fault for rebooting the
Well,
series.
Get Out of Hell was even though they didn't call it Saints Row 5, that was the fifth game.
Yeah,
The first four were numbered, and then they had Get Out of Hell, which we played co-op a couple times together.
right.
Yeah, I have to say it's a shame, but like I said, I'm kind of surprised this didn't happen with the disastrous Saints Row that they uh, tried to reboot. They tried to reboot Saints Row, but they had no idea what made Saints Row so fun and so viable um, to begin with.
Hmm.
So, and this was the last game Volition created. So it's kind of, like I'm saying, Doctor Games 101 says the writing was on the wall. I'm surprised this didn't already happen. Um, I'm surprised a big part of the team or a big part of the studio wasn't let go after the disaster that was the Saints Row reboot.
Oh yeah.
Anything else, Dad, or ready to move on?
Yeah, ready to move on.
All right. Next, Alone in the Dark delayed to January. The upcoming reimagining of Alone in the Dark is skipping Halloween this year. Instead of inviting players back to Deserto on October 25th, the survival horror game will now arrive on January 16th. In a press release, developer Pisces Interactive offered a candid explanation for the move. It doesn't want the game to compete with October's heavy hitters like Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and another big horror game, Alan Wake 2. Our intention is to avoid competing with the wake of Alan's epic release and to evade the dazzling skyline of cities adored by the graceful swings of Spider-Man, Pieces writes. We aim to truly remain as alone in the dark as possible. To honor this, the spine-chilling horror game has been rescheduled to unveil its horrors on January 16th, 2024. This extension will serve a dual purpose. Not only will it permit us to meticulously perfect the game experience, but also grant us the opportunity to fully immerse ourselves in the remarkable releases of October. The studio also released a new trailer starring David Harbour's Edward Conby, one of the game's protagonists, showing off his performance and impressive facial capture. Alone in the Dark is a modernized revamp of the 1992 survival horror classic that stars actors Jodie Comer and David Harbour as protagonists, Emily Hartward and Detective Edward Carby, respectively. Players control one character to explore the haunted Deserto Hospital to solve a sinister mystery, with both scenarios offering different story threads and moments. You can read a full preview of the game here. It will be available on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC. So, were you looking forward to this new Alone in the Dark game?
To be honest with myself, with this as a gamer, I never really got a chance to get involved with Alone in the Dark over this past how many games? That's how many decades so far? Because I've heard the original movie Alone in the Dark, if I recall correctly. There was a movie back in the mid 2000s. I've heard about it since, and on and off, but never got a chance to get involved with it, so I did not really know what it's like in the game. But if it's similar to that of Resident Evil, perhaps even Hail to the King for the PS1, which is the I forget what's it called. Evil King, Evil Dead, Hell to the King. That game, more that'd be nice to
Yeah,
see that. I'd really see something like that if it was like, kind of like that style of gameplay. You know,
Okay, Hail to the King. I don't think I've ever played that one, or I played it maybe once.
you had it for PS1.
Um.
You let me borrow it for a few weeks before you moved to New York.
Okay.
Yeah, I played
Okay.
it. I
Do
didn't
you
like
still
it.
have it?
No, you still have it. The last time I checked.
Okay, so I sold it then.
Oh wow, you should have kept on to that. Could cost a lot of money in the future. You know.
Yeah, I should have. I should have held on to quite a few games. At least I had a chance to play them. Um, yeah, Alone in the Dark was never one series I really got invested in. So I was kind of surprised they were bringing it back. Because I do remember when it came out, like on like the Xbox 360 version. I think it was released. And that's
Yeah.
like around the time the movie came out, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. 2005, 2006.
Yeah, that and then that awful movie, Nostalgia Critic, tore apart. But we don't need to talk about that movie. Yeah, so like it's one game that I've seen plenty of times, but it's one game I've also never tried. Um, I don't know. I'm just kind of wondering is they said that they don't want to compete with Spider-Man 2 and Alan Wake 2, and that could definitely be truthful. But I'm also wondering, do they not want to? Was the game just not going to be ready? But if the game was not going to be ready, why not just say that?
Mm-hmm. Good point.
So it's just wondering again. Maybe the whole Spider-Man 2. Yes, any game competing with Spider-Man 2, Alan Wake 2, it's not going to fare well. So
Yeah, Alone in the
I think
Dark.
alone.
Alone in the Dark is like a niche audience at best. So that's why it wasn't out there like that of as popular as Spider Man or even Halo, or even Alan Wake especially. Like you figure Alone in the Dark had how many years prior to Alan Wake? About a 5 year at most at about 4 year, at least the 4 year head start with the movie and the game, and it still can't maybe as popular as Alan Wake. That's weird right there. So
Yeah. So again, it's again you know it's so if you were looking forward to it, it's not coming out till January. But anyone who is looking forward to it, that's also interested in Spider-Man or 2 or Alan Wake 2, will have a chance to try out both games.
oh yeah.
Uh, Alone in the Dark and whichever October release you're looking forward to, if you're looking forward to either of them.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to move on?
I'm ready.
All right. Next, Solar Ash, Lies of P, and Starfield come to Xbox Game Pass this month. Xbox Game Pass has a small batch of new games hitting the first half of September, but what they lack in quantity, they make up for in quality and hype. First off, Solar Ash, Heart Machine's exceptional high-speed performing action game, finally arrives on Xbox. Lies of P, the Pinocchio-inspired Souls-like action title, hits this month too. Oh, and a little game called Starfield blast off for everyone this week. Check out the full list of new arrivals alongside links to our retrospective reviews, along with the games exiting the library. We're going to cover the games leaving in a different article. I got that one pulled up, so we're just going to cover what's coming to Game Pass right now.
Mm-hmm.
Gris came. When was this article written? September 5th. Okay. Gris came to Game Pass on the 5th for console, PC, and the cloud. Starfield came to Xbox Series, PC, and the cloud on the 6th. Solar Ash will be coming to console and PC cloud on the 14th. And Lies of P, console, PC, and the cloud will be coming September 19th. We'll cover the games leaving. Are you interested in any of these games that are coming to Game Pass?
Well, to be honest with you again, it's Starfield. I did try out earlier this today and yesterday, I should say. And after like 15 minutes of cloud gaming on my Xbox One S, it just like crashed and I had to start all over. And I was like, you know what? It's not worth it right now. Give it a few more weeks, see if it's gonna fix the cloud gaming. Hopefully by next year they'll fix it because obviously I can't afford a Xbox Series X or S even right now. And you know, plus I'm not using Game Pass after the next week or two, so it's like whatever at this point. That's my own personal fruition, my own personal experience slash perspective of sorts. As far as Solar Ash and Liza P, Solar Ash, I'm not sure about. I never heard of it in that as a title. But Liza P, I think I've actually either played it once or I watched the trailer of it, and it looked alright to play, or at least if I remember correct, was supposed to be how you play the game. So yeah, Starfield's the one that comes as standoffish. It's the most standout.
Yeah, honestly, though, I think Starfield is just going to be a big disappointment, just like Redfall was back in May.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know a lot of people were flipping their shit and I think this is a little extreme also myself. People were um, flipping their shit when it asks for your pronouns, and it's kind of like, guys, I know, social justice promotes pronouns, and I hate when they do it too, but pronouns are still a thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's like that one menu most people were, again, I hate the social justice BS. I hate, you know, the people who think there's more than two genders need mental help. Um,
Yep. Yeah,
but,
you can
you
thank Heels versus
know,
Babyface for that guy to board out there of Starfield. He was always screaming at the camera. He's like, pronouns, pronouns, what the hell? Like he was pissed off that day. We played Starfield the early version, early access. I was like, wow. Heels versus. I've been following his videos for last at least a year and a half now, and I have to say, Heels is very on point with the matter about the pronouns. It's like it wasn't like this in gaming back 10 years ago. Of course, we did have transgenderism back then, obviously, or the LGBT rights were to right to marry and stuff, but, not like this in today's world, in 2023. So, yeah.
yeah, I understand why people were getting upset, but it's kind of like we've been conditioned anytime pronouns comes up in the conversation to hate what's the conversation's going to be about. But I think people are taking it a little too far with this one.
Oh, yeah.
I think there are plenty of other reasons to hate Starfield because I heard it's mediocre.
Yep, it
I
is.
really don't. I really have no. Honestly, I'm more interested in Liza P than I am Starfield. To be quite honest,
Oh, okay.
because I heard Starfield is mediocre. It's a space adventure game, which is not my genre. So I really don't care about Starfield. But I think all the hatred just over select your pronouns is a little ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Starfield, I played the first 15 minutes of it. Like I said, it could crash after 15 minutes, and I'm like, this is not going to work right now. So, I guess I'll wait another few months, a couple years. I'm sure it'll be on sale for about 20, maybe $15, I hope. If I wait till Black Friday.
Maybe the price will plummet just like Redfall.
Oh yeah, especially with Tomb Raider, Tomb Raider 2018 game. I forgot it's called Rise. Not the Rise of Tomb Raider. It's called Tomb Raider something. It's a 2018 video game that fell in sales in like not even weeks. It went from like 59.99 to like 40, 35, and not 40. Depends on what part of the country you're in or what country you're in. It was as cheap as like $35 to buy it on sale. It's like 5 weeks after its release. Tomb Raider 2018. So
All right. So yeah, so it's again, it was, like I said, I understood the outrage. I understood where the outrage was coming from, but it's kind of like, guys, you know, it's not promoting anything social justice yet. I think, so either those people were actors pretending to be right wing, or second, or they were just flipping their lid over nothing.
yeah, I didn't overreact like that at the kind of that screaming format of the heels versus babyface, but I feel his pain though because it's like 10, 20 years ago. The only we had in games was like male and female. What else? Fucking like black, white, etc., etc. But now the pronouns thing where it's like frogs and demon and fucking cat and all this weird stuff going on for the last couple of years on TikTok and all. It was like, who the hell should appeal this to? Like most of these people who are on TikTok or Twitter, the ones that act all radical and something with transgenderism and stuff, and the LGBTQIA plus whatever it is. Those are the ones who don't have money, and they're the ones who scream the most on Twitter. That's why I don't want to go to appeal towards these gamers, supposedly gamers, because they're not the ones buying the product. So forget about these people. To be honest with myself and with you guys. I had to
Yeah,
with these guys, you know,
they're too busy committing crimes and getting released right away.
and also tried to take out J.K. Rowling's Hogwarts game somehow, some way, because she's the sole proprietor of the Harry Potter franchise, the creator of it, and she actually has proceeds in the video game of earlier this year, back in March, April, May, or June, because it was a May release, if not June release of the Xbox One version. So it's ridiculous. Like, all because J.K. Rowling said one bad thing on Twitter about transgender or transgender rights. It's like that's just an evil one for saying it. Like, this doesn't make any sense. You know, that's why if I ever have my own gaming company, I'm gonna be straightforward with a certain audience or a couple of audiences, and that's about it. Hopefully they'll buy my product. If ever I make my own gaming company, that is, if one day, if ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Sorry, I had to go turn off my Xbox One. It seems to turn on for some reason. I don't know if if it's like something wrong with the system, or like if a fly like lands on this power switch and then like it's super sensitive, or maybe it's just like I got the fan on. Maybe a breeze can hit the power button, whatever it is. But
You have the original Xbox
um,
One or the Xbox One S or One X.
the original.
That's why it happens sometimes. If you press it by mistake, it'll turn itself on that panel. There's no
Well,
button.
sometimes I'm not even in the room and it turns itself on.
Oh, you have a connected?
Like there have been times I've been telemarketing and the Xbox One turned itself on. I'm like, I was nowhere near the controller.
Do you have a connect on the system?
No.
That's good. That can happen too. If you say like Xbox on by mistake, it will turn itself on. Or if you say Xbox stop recording, it'll stop recording itself. So
Yeah, I never got Connect for any of the Xboxes. It's just weird. I mean, but then again, my Xbox One does have a setting to turn itself off 45 minutes after being idle. So,
oh yeah,
um, but anyway, back to this. Yeah, so like I said, I'm not interested. I really could care less about Starfield. Um, yeah, so that's I basically said everything I have to say. Ready to move on?
yeah, ready.
All right, next. Xbox Game Pass is losing 9 more games very soon. It's time to go. As it does twice per month, Microsoft is removing more Game Pass titles from the catalog. The first wave of removals for September 2023 have been confirmed, and a total of 9 games are leaving soon. In 6 days, basically. Announced in a blog post alongside a list of games coming to Game Pass, titles headed out on September 15th include the strategy game Sid Meier's Civilization 6 and the music-based shooter Metal Hellsinger. That game was released on September 15th, 2022 and was available on day one through Xbox Game Pass, so the timing of its removal might be connected to some kind of one-year deal. Other games leaving Game Pass on September 15th include Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony Anniversary Edition, Origami 2, Train Sim World 3, Tainted Grail Conquest, Amazing Cultivation Simulator, DC League of Super Pets, The Adventure of Crypto and Ace, and Fuga Melodies of Steel. As usual, Game Pass members save 20% on all games when buying them outright, so that's a silver lining for anyone who wants to keep playing any of these titles when they leave the catalog. Hold on, there's something. I heard something. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so anyway, Microsoft recently raised Game Pass prices, increasing the standard console membership to $11 a month and the Ultimate membership to $17 a month. PC Game Pass is still $10 a month. A new offering called Game Pass Core will launch on September 6th. That's 3 days ago. So plenty of games are coming to Game Pass this September as well, including Starfield, Lies of P, Solar Ash, and more. So once again, these are the ones leaving. Amazing Culture Simulator for PC. Origami 2 is leaving Cloud Console and PC. Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony Anniversary Edition is leaving Cloud Console and PC. DC League of Super Pets, The Adventure of Crypto and Ace is leaving all 3 services. Cloud Console and PC. The rest are leaving Cloud Console and PC, so I don't have to keep saying it. Fuga Melodies of Steel, Sid Meier's Civilization 6, Tainted Grail Conquest, and Train Sim World 3. Are you going to miss any of these games?
Can you read the 9 games again, just one more time, please? I'm sorry, I didn't keep track of it.
Amazing Cultivation Simulator, Origami 2, Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony Anniversary Edition, DC League of Super Pets The Adventures of Crypto and Ace, Fugi Melodies of Steel, Sid Meier's Civilization 6, Tainted Grail Conquest, and Train Sim World 3.
Yeah, and the only one I can stands out is Civilization 6, and I'm still playing Once the Blue Moon Civilization 5 and 4 and 3. So it's like, they don't matter to me, to be honest with you guys again. I'm a brutally honest person, just like Bookie 298 now. Like these games, of course I heard of Tycoon before. I played it at times, but it's just, it's not my cup of tea, these games. I will admit that, so.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to take Game Pass is going to suffer a big hit losing DC Adventure of DC's Pets or whatever
Yeah,
that
that's a
game is.
game right there.
Um, I'd say something about Train Sim World 3, but I won't.
Okay.
But yeah, so I was gonna make a joke about it. But yeah, so like none of these games really are games when I had Game Pass that I tried. So Game Pass losing these games, even if I had my Game Pass membership, wouldn't affect me anyway either. So like if you like these games before, you can still buy them before September 15th with a 20% discount. So
Right.
you definitely want to hop on that if you did like any of these games.
Oh, yeah.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, ready.
All right, next. The next Xbox update lets you stream games direct to Discord, adds new voice reporting feature. New options for variable refresh rate and variety of UI changes are also on the way. Arriving soon, the next Xbox update will let you stream games directly from your console to Discord and adds platform-wide voice reporting. Hold on. In order to stream to Discord from your console, you will first have to link your Discord account to your Xbox. Once your account is connected, you can press the Xbox button on your controller, head to the Parties and Chats window, and select Discord. Then scroll through your server, select a voice channel, and display your game. Here's hoping the integration is smooth, as it's likely a lot of people will be looking to stream Starfield for their friends. You wish. The update will also add additional options for variable refresh rate to Xbox Series consoles. This feature enables your TV or monitor to adjust its refresh rate to fit the frame rate of the game content. However, it can make movies or TV look weird. Starting with this update, you can adjust VRR so that it won't activate while you are streaming a show or watching a 4K disc. You can turn on VRR by going to the Settings app, selecting General, then TV and Display options, then Video. You will find a drop-down menu for VRR, which allows you to select between Always On, Gaming Only, or Off. Xbox last announced platform-wide voice reporting in July, and it will arrive in this update. You can save audio clips from gameplay using the capture button on the Xbox controller. Then you can select a specific clip and use it to submit a report to Xbox Moderation, which will review your report and inform you of their decision. By tying voice reporting to the platform, rather than a particular game, Xbox hopes to catch bad behavior in backward-compatible titles that may or may not have a dedicated moderation team. Voice reporting will launch this week on Xbox for the US, the UK, Canada, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand. Additionally, the update will include some simple user interface changes. The Rewards tab has been revamped. You can actually join a friend's game by selecting the X to join game button under their profile. Wishlist notifications are more customizable, allowing you to select whether Xbox notifies you when games on your wish list go on sale, release, and or join Game Pass. You can also pair new devices more easily with the new Connect Device option in the Xbox Accessories app. You can read up on the full details on Xbox Wire. The Xbox PC app has also reportedly got an upgrade. Some game details should now load faster, letting you install more quickly. New fonts, button styles, and animations have been added. The library and installation queue have been have been updates and now allow you to filter based on whether the games have been installed, whether you own them or whether they are available on Game Pass. You can find a full list of the updates on the official Xbox site. So, how do you feel about these updates? I know we talked about the voice reporting one last time.
Mm-hmm. Uh, the PlayStation Plus is some free games for September 2023, right? We're talking about that one, right?
No, we're talking about the updates to Xbox.
Xbox, right? I'm sorry, they keep tracking. Oh man, I thought we were already talking about the PlayStation at games for 2023, right? No.
No, we did that. Oh, I did add that topic twice, but when I realized I added the same topic twice, I took it off before we got there. Um,
Okay.
no. So basically, Xbox is the voice moderation reporting tool that Xbox that we talked about 2 weeks ago, and also being able to stream games directly to Discord.
Okay. Oh yeah, that feature. Yeah, I saw that feature on my Xbox One for many months now. And the report the matter, that's like it's why not? It's more power to to keep it going with the Xbox chats and all. They want to make sure they're more relevant into the younger gamers out there. Because Xbox chat logs and the Xbox channel together, it's kind of like not dying. It's just that it's not as popular as it used to be back in the day when it first started back in 2008 and all. And prior to um, the update back in 2000 November or October or September, where they actually tried to have the party chat system in place. That's where all that trash talking and harassment and Call of Duty chats starts kind of like reduced severely over the years. Not, but in a gradual type of sense. So you still get trash talking every day, and even like harassers harassing for years. Like I got this one guy harassing my group and I. So it's kind of like it's can't do much without having the official information in front of them. But I do try to tell my fellow gamers out there, whoever is harassing the group and all, or our group, to report the matter. She'll get some paperwork together, get your logs together and stuff like that. If you know when and where this person comes on and what account and all, because this is ridiculous, man. So it has to give, and this is one of the reasons why we cannot have freedom on the Xbox or PlayStation, whatever we call it, because there's so many people just abusing their own way of doing things on these systems. So if it comes to a price to pay, then more fault to the gamer. No offense to us fellow gamers out there. It is what it is now.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is there really a? I mean, we talked about that once, so I really don't feel like rehashing it again.
Right.
Um, but the update I do want to talk about is Xbox allowing you to stream games to Discord. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but can you earn money streaming things on Discord or?
I'm not sure about that feature. I never heard of that feature before on Discord. I don't. As you can tell, I don't really use Discord often. I do put it out there to people
Yeah,
to
we
see.
only use Discord for this podcast, and
Yeah,
that's
pretty much.
once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, for me, it's like I probably go online on average twice every 2 weeks, like one time for the sake of talking to other Xbox friends and all, and that's about it. And then the other time is with Triple J here with the podcast. So it's like I can't say much about Discord's features of reporting players or reported users of their website or program. So I can't say much about it right now.
I'm just googling it. Let's see.
But yeah,
I did. I
Xbox.
googled.
Yeah.
I googled, can you monetize streams on Discord? And the answer it gave me is server subscriptions gives you the ability to monetize your Discord server by offering members of your community the ability to purchase a monthly subscription to access unique server perks, and depending on how you set them up, exclusive channels to talk in.
Hmm.
So there is a way to earn money on Discord.
Okay. Well, it's starting to become a big trend on the internet altogether, like with YouTube's monetization, DLive's monetization, as well as Rumble now. It's Rumble's been at it
Yeah.
for about a few months now with the streaming service being monetized and all. So that's more aspects to help people make some kind of living or at least some kind of side money.
But you're not getting. It's not like the antiquated what seems antiquated now. Ad rates. It's basically. I guess you can create a server and then like for free, and then people have to pay a monthly subscription to access that server if they want to be involved in what you're doing.
Yeah, kind of reduces the harassments, reduces the trash talk, and reduces the full anonymity of the matter behind those behaviors. So that way people can call out that person who's harassing someone for how many months and years, and take it from there. You know.
Yeah. So it is what it is. Yeah. So I mean, hey, maybe I could create my own like Total Extreme Wrestling server and stream that on Discord. Um, but I probably won't do that. Um, but yeah. So if yeah, these are the options coming in the next update to Xbox.
Oh yeah.
Ready to move on?
I'm ready.
Okay. Next, we only got about like I think 4 or 5 more stories.
Mm-hmm.
Let me count. One, two, three, four more stories
All
for
right.
tonight. New James Bond game is coming this month. Cypher 007 releases soon. A new James Bond video game has been announced and it's coming very soon. Due out on September 29th, Cypher 007 is a mobile game in the works for Apple Arcade, and the story involves the iconic villain Blofeld. The top-down game takes players across to revisit some of Bond's most iconic moments and locations. The story involves taking down the evil Blofeld, who is trying to make Bond a double agent. Cypher 007 is published by free-to-play studio Tilting Point in partnership with rights owner MGM. There isn't much to go on yet about the actual gameplay, but Tilting Point said more information is coming soon, so check back for more. Players will be immersed in this beloved universe of espionage as they gather intel, uncover secrets, and use spycraft to overcome immersive levels filled with obstacles, opponents, and objectives that increase in difficulty as they progress, reads a line from the game's description. Cypher 007 has online leaderboards so players can see how their achievements stack up against the global community of players. Apple Arcade costs $5 a month and includes access to a growing library of games with no ads or microtransactions. I see the top-down view. It's not the only James Bond game in the works right now, as Hitman developer IO is making a James Bond game, but it's still early days. 22 was the 60th anniversary of the Bond movie series. So, are you interested in a mobile game, James Bond game?
Not a mobile game per se. It's good for like those who are hardcore James Bond fans for God knows how many decades now. Because like I said, it's been 60 years since last year of the James Bond collection, the James Bond franchise being out to the public. So it's so far I have the 50th anniversary, if I remember correctly, of the DVD collection up until Skyfall. So since like the last that came out, I want to collect those as well too. But they said that this like last year or two when No Time to Die was coming out. Yes, No Time to Die was not the best Bond movie. It may be like one of those like heart wrenching moments of like Daniel Craig's last James Bond movie, but it's whatever now because now they say they're gonna do like a female Bond after that one. So it's like it's just a time for those to play Bond for the last time as a man, and if it's gonna be a woman, especially a black woman, so let's say so be it. But let's take it. Let's see what happens. Let's include transgenderism and all this other nonsense you hear about the LGBT and stuff like that. So let's take it from there. It's the year 2023, right, Triple J? So whatever. So
Okay. Didn't really expect that.
yes.
Um, yeah, and I will say anybody other playing James Bond other than a man is completely ridiculous and should not be in control of anything. Um, with that being said, um, what? You wanted my opinion on it.
I Hey, it's the year 2023. It's not like it once was 25 years ago. Triple J. It's a totally different audience. I don't even know if there
It's
is an
it's
audience
it's
for it.
2023. That doesn't mean inmates can run the asylum. You don't put inmates in charge of the medication. Um,
Yeah,
regardless if it's 2023 or 3557. I mean,
3557. Yeah, imagine that what's going to happen in the next 300, 1,500 years. Damn. Oh,
yeah, well, at least I won't be around to see it. If we make it that far.
yeah,
Um,
if we have the next life to choose from,
but yeah. So anyway, at least James Bond. I from the top down view photo I saw, it does look male in this game. So at least there's that. Um, but so yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of mobile games either. I am more interested in the one I was working on from who made the Hitman, who's made Hitman. Um, I hope that's coming to console instead of just mobile. Um, I don't really. Are you familiar with the James Bond villain Blofeld?
he's the one with the teeth, right?
No, I think that was Jaws.
Oh, man, whilst I watched James Bond films. The only one I saw most
Yeah.
recent was No Time to Die last year or earlier this year.
Okay, so neither of us know who Blofeld is, at least off the top of our heads. Um, so yeah, so if you're mobile, if you like mobile games, there's a James Bond game coming. There's not much. There wasn't much information released on it yet, so I guess so. We'll cover more information as information is released. Ready to move on?
Yeah, ready.
All right. Next, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem game coming next year. The animated film Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem has garnered critical acclaim since its release in theaters last month. As fans know, the best way to follow up a good TMNT project is to make a video game out of it, and that's exactly what's happening next year. Publisher Outright Games, along with Paramount and Nickelodeon, have announced a new untitled TMNT game in development set within the Mutant Mayhem universe. It will feature the same striking visual design and follows a new story set months after the movie's events. There's no word yet on if the film's ensemble's cast will reprise their roles. In terms of gameplay, a press release only hints that the project involves combining energetic ninja teamwork gameplay with a humorous narrative. Players will take control of the turtles as they interact with a host of memorable characters from the franchise and fight to save this stylized take on New York City from a new mutant threat. Outright Games has experience working on games based on kid-friendly licenses, making titles based on Star Trek Prodigy, How to Train Your Dragon, Paw Patrol, and Peppa Pig. The TMNT Mutant Mayhem game is targeting PC and consoles. It's the latest project in what's been quite a renaissance for the Turtles, especially in video games. The resurgence kicked off with last year's well-received TMNT Shredder's Revenge, which recently got a big new expansion. The Cowabunga collection bundled every classic TMNT game into one package for a modern audience. A single-player action game based on the beloved TMNT The Last Ronin graphic novel is also in the works. So, are you excited for this new game based off its latest movie Mutant Mayhem?
I've always wanted to see the TMNT movie from last month and all that came out early August. Unfortunately, I don't have the money for it right this second to see it. It's just that it's not the same Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles we saw when we were kids. Triple J. It was very different. I see the trailer on. I was like, "That's April, the newest April." Like, God damn, they fucked up.
Is she 10 years old like in the cartoon?
Yeah, like a 10-year-old black girl. I'm like, or a preteen
Oh
black girl. I'm
god.
like, what the hell's going on here? Whatever happened to the 21, 25-year-old April and the jumpsuit, the yellow jumpsuit, and she's a TV reporter and all, and whatever happened to that origination of the story and character? Like they try to ruin it or try to appeal to the modern audiences. I hear. I'm like, yeah.
Modern audiences, what the old audiences want.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're trying to appeal to a niche audience, which they think will um, which will help them, which it won't.
the newest
It's
generation.
going to do more.
They try to appeal
It's
towards the
going to do
newest
more harm.
generation
It's going to do more
audiences.
harm than good, basically.
Well, if it's making sales as of this moment in theaters and still in theaters, I mean, that will surprise me. And I'm like, wow, because yes, the kids will watch it eventually. Obviously, they're going to be thinking of that April, not about our April. Triple J. So it's like, they're gonna be thinking like the black transgender or the black, lesbian April, not the hot, light skin April, with the red hair and all, you know.
Yeah. Um. Okay. I didn't know this game had a little bit of I didn't know this had a little bit of social justice in it, so that just killed it for me.
It's
Um.
okay to have the change and all, just that it's not consistent.
It, it,
'Cause
it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not serving any purpose other than pandering.
to a few people at best on Twitter. That's
Yeah,
about it.
to a niche audience. It's not even like you're pandering to the mainstream. You're pandering to a niche crowd that's not going to support you either way.
They're gonna.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why this is so hard for companies to get through their thick head. You appealed to the mainstream. You have a history with you have a character that has a history. You don't piss on the history. You keep that history going.
I bet it's the big.
Uh,
I bet the current day makers of the Star Wars trilogy from Cal Reno. They're the ones behind fucking the TMNT movie. I'm like, what the hell, right?
yeah. So again, I was interested how this game was going to work, but yeah, I mean, you know what? I'm sticking with the old. I don't. I did play Shredder's Revenge with Doctor Games 101
Yep.
cooperatively.
Last year, I think.
Um, I still haven't gotten the Cowabunga collection, but you know what? If I do get the Cowabunga collection, I'll stick with that.
Yeah,
Um,
let's stick with the Shredder's Revenge and Carol Bugger collection. That's about it. Everything after those games is kind of like, let's see the trailer and see how bad it is. That's about it. but it's the year 2023 Triple J. We have to understand kids are different. It's about multiculturalism. It's about unity and mixing the cultures together. You gotta have that mixture of culture. We can't have the ideal woman anymore. It's over with.
do you really want my response to that?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Why not?
Um, no, I'm sorry. This is where I do take a stand.
Sonic heels from
I've always we talked about this with the Little Mermaid list when that movie was coming out, and look where that movie ended up. It's probably at the bottom of bargain bins as we speak. Um,
It's on Disney Plus right
you
now
want
for
to create a
3 months.
you want to create a new character, and you still want to pander off the success of a previous character. Fine, just create a new character. Why can't it be April's friend or April's daughter or
Adopted
April's
daughter.
niece
Come on now.
or adopted daughter or something? I mean, why do they have to make? Why? I mean, what is April going to be a rainbow colored Eskimo in the next game?
That's good for Rainbow Color. Yeah, it's coming to that point now. It's like, yes, we were taught in high school, no, actually in elementary school where I come from, the multiculturalism. Like, we had a class, like I told last episodes or so, where it's about each class had our own like country theme. Like one class has France to talk about, the other class has like what's it, Egypt and stuff like that. So it's kind of like they're trying to teach us young to accept each other's differences. And that's what they're trying to do right now in today's world.
But it's different between accepting and changing. I mean, they're not saying. Okay, the French culture is the way America's going to live. So forget everything that's American, unless it's also French. No, and they're not doing that for other countries either. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's leave the history alone and create new things. If you can't create new things, maybe you shouldn't be in that. Maybe you shouldn't be in that business anymore.
Yeah, whoever these makers are in these movies for the past almost 10 years now, I have to say, they've really doing some cultural Marxism bullshit now. I mean, yes, it's been a thing for how many decades, as G.O. Griffith talked about in the 60s and all, but this is getting to be too obvious, like way obvious. And yes, we have our Dawson's Creek and Seventh Heaven TV shows back in the 90s and 2000s, but that was more of a wholesome, like, homage. Like, it's about the American dream and the family, and that. And also, we're going to talk about Roswell with the aliens and all that stuff like that. It wasn't all over exaggerated. It was the ideal mainstream, mainline type of like content to give to people on TV. But thanks to the internet, now it's like they compete for those for that certain audiences, whoever they are. It's we're gonna try to appeal to every single video towards Twitter on Twitter for these Twitter followers or users. I'm like, they don't even have money for to pay the tickets. I'm like, why even bother appealing to these type of
Yeah.
audiences?
I just had a scary thought. I mean, do you remember the show Baywatch during the 90s?
Oh yeah, I watched a Pamela episode. Yeah.
Could you imagine if they remade that for the Twitter audience in 2023?
They did have a Baywatch movie with Dwayne the Rock Johnson about 5 years ago, so it was all right.
Yeah, but well, I didn't even know about that one. But
Yeah, you gotta
I'm
check it
saying,
out.
can you imagine them making a TV series? What would the lifeguard, would the female lifeguards be 300, 400 pounds each? Uh, could you? I just imagine how much of a train wreck it. And it's going to be a train wreck regardless what you try to remake if you're pandering to that niche crowd.
And if you try to put
I
David
mean,
Assoff in there, that's just gonna be a nostalgic thing. That's about it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but the thing is, just again, we haven't talked about the Little Mermaid since the trailer came out, and we talked about it that one time, and it's gone. Where is it now?
Yeah.
It was so great. It was so great to bring for other races to be represented. Where's it now? And that's going to be the fate of anything else that does this pandering to a niche crowd bullshit.
Oh yeah. Now if they're gonna pay for that movie ticket, these Twitter follow the users, or perhaps stream it on Disney Plus, which they are doing a Little Mermaid promo now on Disney Plus, where if you rent for 3 months, or you get 3 months for $1.99 a month for 3 months with the Little Mermaid added to it, the library now. It's like it's a pandering thing but in the end, they're not gonna watch the Little Mermaid. Most of these Twitter users, whoever these screwed up.
Yeah, even though they stand up for it, they're not going to watch it.
They only have $2 to pay for 3 months, whatever it is. Shit.
Yeah, they would have to sell their cell phone to buy that subscription. So
I don't understand. I don't understand who are these people? Not J.K. Rowling, but like the ones who are like the ones who were behind Star Wars for the last 10 years with with the Episode 8 and all. Like Episode 8 was all right to watch in theater, but to the average Star Wars fan from the 1990s and all, like as us, pretty much, we're gonna look at that as like a baffling, fucked up experience. It's like it's like whatever to the audience, general audiences, but it's just us fans who grew up with the Star Wars Luke Skywalker and all. It's kind of like a blow to the franchise and all. So, and they're doing it with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're doing it with what other franchises out there? James Bond. They're doing it with other franchises like Lord of the Rings. I'm like, what's going to end? They're gonna either ruin everything, or they're trying to revamp the culture somehow so to fit into their own little world, which they're looking at from broad terms.
I'll bring up Lord of Patriarchy again on YouTube.
Okay.
Formerly War Corp 666. He said, "Imagine if they tried to recreate Seinfeld in 2023." He said Jerry would, in his own show, would be completely useless. Elaine would be a strong woman who doesn't need a man in her life. I forgot what he said Kramer and George would be, but it's true. I mean, and the sooner these executives wake up, the much better entertainment will be.
Already a new people altogether from the who are in their 30s or 40s like us. Like we're not too old. We're definitely not too young. So we have to take charge now because the current movie industry, TV industry, politics, the law firms, the law systems, they've all been run by baby boomers for the last at least 25 years now. And yes, they're still in charge somehow, some way, but they're losing their touch on what's relevant in today's world. So if we could bring in some 30, 40-year-old, gamers, 30, 40-year-old movie watchers, 30, 40-year-old, TV, skit makers on YouTube, whatever, like the Onisions, like the Tobuscus, like the PewDiePies, and even us regular people, like not regular, but you get like we've been on the internet on YouTube for how many years, Triple J, and it's like, we know what's up, we have an idea, so give us the chance to take part in that creation. Yes, we can make our own movies somehow, so we can make our own skits and stuff like that. But that requires money and also promotions beyond belief. And it's like you need like people together for that. And it's all
Oh
about
yeah.
that sacrifice and hard workmanship to make it happen. But in today's world, it's
Well,
all
with the
about instant
screenwriters,
gratification. So
with the Screenwriters Guild and the Screen Actors Guild on strike, last time I checked, I mean,
yeah,
now would be the best time. If you don't have the money, maybe you could get it crowdfunded because TV stations are looking for new content. You know,
yeah.
that's actually what's helped professional wrestling recently. Is with the Screen Actors Guild and the Screenwriters Guild on strike. There's no new scripted shows coming out, and TV networks need new shows, so they turn to professional wrestling because professional wrestling doesn't take it's operating 52 weeks a year, so therefore it's um, so therefore networks are more open to professional wrestling even if they weren't in the past because all networks need new content.
Hmm.
Ready to move on or
I just want to say one more thing about the TMNT movie that came out last month. I will still watch
okay?
it if it's still in theaters sometime next month or later at the end of this month or whatever, if I ever have extra money by any chance. But it's just that I'm not gonna look at it and look at the scene like it once was when I was a kid. Because they're trying to appeal, like I said, they're trying to appeal towards the younger audiences now, or try to change the younger audience's perspective on what beauty is, and that's a true statement. Like the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So if they're trying to change the world somehow, something for these kids, and good or bad. It is what it is. That's how it is. Because back when other movies came out, other franchises came out for the TV and anime and animation, and movies and stuff for animation and stuff like the Eighth Man of the 1960s, Astro Boy 1960s, and the Flintstones of 1960s. So this our parents' generation looking at this stuff too. It was mainly like entertainment in their eyes too, and was kept
Yeah.
consistent for a couple of 3 or 4 decades up until 1990s 2000s. But by 2010s it's like what the hell. So hopefully when we see the movie, if you want to see the movie, that is yourself, Triple J, that
I'm
it
I'm
still
not
looks good.
I'm not doing it.
And by the looks
Like
of
I
it,
said, I'm not seeing it. I'm not going to tarnish my memories of what Ninja Turtles was when I was a kid. So,
surprisingly they still have it in theaters, my local theater. So I'm going to see it. Hopefully it'll still be around. Hopefully another couple of weeks.
all right, yeah, and maybe if someone says they identify as a frog, you should not be pandering to them.
Yeah,
Just a thought.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. No, that's the
ready to
fun.
move on?
Yeah, the frog pronoun was a new thing for like a couple months back during the summertime. I'm like, what is this
I
baby
just chose
on?
that. I just chose that at random. I didn't know that was an actual thing.
Yeah, she wants to be called a frog on TikTok, I believe. Some young 20-something-year-old, 20-year-old. I'm telling you, man, it's gonna be a weird world next 20 years.
Uh,
Heels, and
you know
if
what? You know what? We've been around for 2,000 years. God, just end it now.
and to heels versus babyface, if you ever hears this conversation or hears this recorded or podcast, you're right about that. It's a different. We're going through a deprogramming, guys. So to those who are over 30 and over, welcome to the deprogramming of our life.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I think all hope for humanity is lost. Um,
Never give up. Never give up, Triple J.
yeah, but again, I'll say the point. If someone says they identify as a frog or a flower or deaf Eskimo or whatever, they're not right in the head. Why would you pander to them? Ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Next, we only got a couple more stories left.
Yep.
Natara joins Mortal Kombat 1 roster voiced by Megan Fox. Mortal Kombat's 1 roster has a few returning names from the series, 3D era in the forms of Ashra and Havel, and another long-lost favorite joins the fight. Natara is making her long-awaited return, and it's such a big homecoming that NetherRealm has enlisted actress Megan Fox to voice her. Natara is a vampire that made her debut in 2002's Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. She's only been playable in a couple of entries, but has a small cameo in Mortal Kombat 11. I didn't get that far in the story. and appeared in the 2021 Mortal Kombat film. Despite having only a few appearances to her name, she's endured as favorite among fans who grew up with the 2000s era, and she looks as deadly as ever in MK1. Megan Fox brings Natara to life, and you get a sample of her performance in the trailer below. I grew up playing Mortal Kombat. I can't believe that I'm voicing a character in the new game, Fox says in a press release. It's an honor to be a part of one of the greatest video game legacies of all time. Given that Ronda Rousey's voiced Sonya Blade in Mortal Kombat 11, it's not surprising to see NetherRealm rope in another celebrity to perform one of its combatants. Mortal Kombat 1 launches on September 19th for PS5, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. Check out our latest hands-on impression of its invasions and story mode. Be sure to watch the game's most recent trailer from Gamescom 2023. So what do you think Megan Fox voicing Natara? Do you even remember this character?
Let's see, Natara Jones, Natara. I think it's a new character. It sounds like our most recent new character.
No, they said she was in Shadow Alliance or Shadow Monks, some game that came out in 2000s, and she had a
like
small
Sub-Zero, like Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero and the beat 'em up games and shit like that. Mortal Kombat. Okay. Yeah, she's a character that's like not so well mentioned in the 2000s sense because up until Mortal Kombat 10, 11 last time I checked, but still it's like the Tara, like back in the 2000s after Mortal Kombat 4, I stopped keeping track of the Mortal Kombat, so it's kind of like I can't say much. Yes, I do have Mortal Kombat 10, Mortal Kombat 11, yes, especially Mortal Kombat 10 I played so far up to like 2 hours in almost. I will admit that the story mode. Sorry guys, we're way behind on the Mortal Kombat franchise, but it is what it is. You know, as you get older, things change. But anyway, so yeah, Natara. It's like I don't know, man. It's like, oh wow, but it's Megan Fox too. That's gonna promote a lot of people buying Mortal Kombat 1, and I want to buy it on sale. But the problem though is that I gotta finish Mortal Kombat 10 and 11, and once I do one day, before I die, I will get Mortal Kombat 1 for about $10, $20 digital, you know.
Okay, I'm just bringing up the fandom profile of Natara because I don't really know her. I just want basically try to get her. Okay, so she was in Mortal Kombat Deception.
Okay.
She was in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Let's see, that's general trivia. So she was in Deadly Alliance, she was in Deception, she was in Armageddon, she was Mortal Kombat 10, Mortal Kombat 11, and now she'll be in Mortal Kombat 1.
Oh, okay. So I have to play Mortal Kombat 11 and see what happens, and that's about it.
11 was pretty good. They had the story mode that I was doing on Twitch while I had Game Pass.
Okay.
This is what it says about her in Mortal Kombat 11. Natara is referenced in a pre-fight dialogue between Erron Black and Scarlet in Mortal Kombat 11, where Erron states that he previously had a relationship with Natara before beginning his relationship with Scarlet. Scarlet, in turn, jokes that Erron clearly has a type, a reference to the fact that both Natara and Scarlet have blood-related powers. Some of Scarlet's gear in Mortal Kombat 11 reference both Natara and her homeworld. The profile, the website itself closed on me. So
that's not good.
But some McAfee advertisement came up.
Did it make the Natara look attractive or hideous or a mixture of both, like Melina?
The picture that came with the article made her look hideous because she's a vampire. So.
Oh, okay. She's not sexualized, nothing like that.
Not that I saw, but they had her with like her mouth open, so it was like.
Right. Because one of the characters from like Mortal Kombat 2, Melina, like she looked obviously making her look sexually appealing in the Mortal Kombat 2 game, but if in later Mortal Kombat games you find out that her actual mouth is very hideous looking, and she looks like a monster underneath her mask. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Very hideous.
So anyway, I'm back on the fandom. I'm back on the fandom page. So let me get down back to Mortal Kombat 11. Okay. Some of Scarlet's gear in Mortal Kombat 11 reference both Natara and her homeworld Vader Moose, and the consumable item Boxes of the Dead mentioned Natara. that was so she was like referenced in Mortal Kombat 11, but she didn't actually appear.
Right.
So yes, yeah, I have to say Megan Fox voicing Natara. I have absolutely no problem with that. Um, but the thing is, I have no problem with it because Megan Fox and even Ronda Rousey, they're gamers. They're while they're known for other things, Megan Fox being an actress, Ronda Rousey first UFC, then WWE. They enjoy video games. They're not doing it just for a simple cash grab.
Yeah. That's good.
So so I have no problem with Megan Fox voicing Natara. I didn't even know Ronda Rousey voiced Sonya Blade. So
Yeah, I didn't know about that until later on. If I ever played Mortal Kombat 11 sooner or later.
yeah, so hey, as long as who's ever making this game can afford these voice actresses, go with it.
These past 25, 30 years almost of Mortal Kombat, yeah, after that long ago, they gotta get some sort of a not multi-billion dollar, but at least $1 billion industry alone in Mortal Kombat, $1 billion industry alone in Mario, $1 billion industry alone in Tomb Raider. So it's kind of like, they have the budget for it, most likely. Especially if you get like one or two actors in, it makes a big difference in sales overall. So
Yeah. So, ready to move on to the final story for tonight?
I would like to say one more thing, though. I know it's not related to
Okay.
the Mortal Kombat 1, but it is in relation to the voice actors that are well mentioned. If they have Mr.
Okay.
T available for the not remake, but if they can go back and do a mod for the Final Fantasy 7 remake and put Mr. T as Barrett's voice in, that would be a blessing for Sony and Square Enix, because Mr. T, we were asking, all of us 30-year-olds asking Mr. T to be on Barrett's voice in Final Fantasy 7 remake, but it never happened. So it's like whatever. But hopefully the mod, if some guy out there one day can make a mod of it, that'll be great. That'll be a great blessing to the how we get the
I think,
version.
I think the best you could hope for is a Mr. T impersonator.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm not even sure. I don't even know what Mr. T is up to nowadays.
He's doing like commercials, like, or low profile stuff. Like he's around. He's still alive and well. He's still looking in good shape, whatever. But it's just that he's not out there like he used to with like doing the A Team and Meraki and shit like that. So he's doing like small projects here and there. Last time I heard.
Yeah. Well, he's 71.
Yeah.
Mr. T.
Yeah, so he looks alright at 71.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. I guess he could do the voice acting if he wanted to.
Yeah, he had another 10, 20 years, other the, whenever,
I just want to say, oh, okay. In 1995, doctors diagnosed the actor with T-cell lymphoma, a form of cancer. While he recovered, Mr. T kept a low profile and limited his appearance to commercials. As he regained his health, he began appearing again on the big screen.
T-cell, Mr. T. That's like ironic in a dark way.
Yeah, so he was sick, but I think apparently, according to Google, he's still on Twitter.
Yeah, man. I was right the whole time. Then I didn't have to check that reference at all. I just seen the commercial with him acting like in a supermarket where he's staring into the camera. And he's like, "We got your back, y'all." And he's staring and shit for like at least 10 seconds. It's like, yeah, we got your back. And that was like back in 2010.
Looking at his last three Twitter posts, they're basically religious scripture.
Okay.
So, again, yeah, Mr. T. I mean, he could still do it if he wanted to. I just don't. I just think he wants. I just think he's probably made his money and he just wants to retire.
Keep a little profile at best. That's about it.
Yep.
All right. I'm done.
Uh,
This segment.
Okay. Last story for tonight. E3 2024 could be canceled, but a complete reinvention of the show is planned for 2025. With ReedPop no longer involved, the ESA is working on new plans to evolve and reinvent E3. As 2024 E3 event is looking unlikely, as convention company ReedPop will no longer work on future events alongside E3 organizer, the Entertainment Software Association. Following the cancellation of this year's E3, the ESA also informed the Los Angeles Convention Center that it has no plans to put on a show in that venue next year. If an E3 event is held in 2024, it'll be in a different venue for the first time since 2008. According to GamesIndustry.biz, the ESA still has big plans for E3 and is working on a complete reinvention of the show for a possible return in 2025. ReedPop, the organizer behind PAX, originally signed a multi-year deal to relaunch E3, which hasn't held an in-person event since 2019. E3 2023 was canceled at the last minute due to a cited lack of interest from publishers and developers, leading to ReedPop and the ESA parting ways. We appreciate Reed's Pop partnership over the past 14 months and support their ongoing efforts to bring industry and fans together through their various events, ESA President and CEO Stanley Pierre Lewis said to GamesIndustry.biz. While the reach of E3 remains unmatched in our industry, we are continuing to explore how we can evolve it to best serve the video game industry and are evaluating every aspect of the event, from format to location. We are committed to our role as a convener for the industry and look forward to sharing news about E3 in the coming months. While the decline of E3 began over a period of several years, the COVID pandemic only hastened the fall of the event. The ESA moved to hold an all-digital E3 in 2021 that ended up losing more money than it earned, while the planned 2022 and 2023 shows were canceled. Several other shows have arrived to fill in the gap left by E3, most noticeably Summer Games Fest, which is gearheaded by host and producer Jeff Keighley and is joined by several other smaller and dedicated events during what has become colloquially known as not E3 season. I think E3 sort of killed itself in a way, Keighley said back in June when he was asked about his show's reputation as the killer of E3. I understand why people say I killed E3, but I think if anything, we created Summer Games Fest, and I built Summer Game Fest because I saw the wheels falling off the wagon of E3. So, what do you think of E3 2024 possibly being canceled before they even had a chance to launch?
I have to say, E3 is pretty much like a irrelevant event. Although they can still spruce it up every year somehow, some way through like a streaming promo of sorts, and that's at best they can do. So like what they can do is like have like a smaller venue or a smaller I don't know if you call it access. Like it depends how you look at it. Like because usually E3, from what I was told or research at least, they say that E3 is for like the game developers, reporters, journalists in general, other gaming engineers, and etc. etc. Like the hardware engineers, you name it. All these people come together from different companies, different venues, different studios, and all, and just one big packed event every year for 3 4 days or 2 to 4 days, wherever it is. And that was a big thing back in the '90s. I didn't hear too much about it in the '90s. By the late 2000s, I hear about this E3. I was like, wow, this is E3. I'm very surprised. So I guess you could say that the power of the internet obviously kind of diluted the strength of E3 to come together for most people today. Because all you do is just basically stream it from home and watch the news there. I mean, yes, then people want to come in person see all the action, but in today's world, you don't need to build physical brick and mortar events as much as you used to. Let's say you want to bring people together and exchange ideas in a different format other than the internet, because the internet is very different, has its own set of like a style or practice or a way of like interacting with people. Obviously, you can tell, but in person, like you get to see the flesh, you get to see the games, you get to see the physical copies. Hell, if they even promote somehow, some way with E3 2025, not 2024. It depends on which year it's going to be. They have plenty of time by 2025. If they could just like promote like E3 exclusive content or E3 exclusive collector games or game collections. Like let's say for example 2025. What's coming out 2025? Most likely GTA 6. So they do like an exclusive like E3 copies at the E3 event for the public as well as for developers. Just to get the feel of what's the game's like, as well as get preview bonuses, preview uh, content, if not show explicit, uncensored content of GTA 6. Because in GTA 5, they kind of censor shit that I paid good money for before they did this. So why not reinvigorate the crowd again of gamers just to get that exclusive content again? I'm willing to go to E3 just for the sake of like again the uncensored or the explicit content of the GTA 6 franchise or whatever it is. It's a point where Triple J is like, if they're gonna censor publicly on the internet of their content, Rockstar Games or Square Enix, whatever, let's give the gamers a chance to go for their money and to go elsewhere, or have alternative viewpoint, alternative place, they buy these games.
Right. Yeah.
So
So it's yeah. I mean, E3. It's almost like reanimating E3, trying to bring it back to life. Something that should be left dead. Like I mean, if they're already talking about canceling 2024, what's the point?
yeah,
Um, and like Dr. Games 101 said, they need to bring. They just can't keep doing the old E3 formula. Um, they have to do something, whether it's giveaways of different games that are being shown, or giveaways like raffles or whatever. They got to do some. I don't know what it is, but they got to do something. Maybe giveaways like a free game of whatever being shown if it's out, or a previous game of, like, if it's Grand Theft Auto 6, maybe giving away something like Grand Theft Auto 5 with all the DLC or something.
and
It's they got to think, they got to figure out something to compete with Summer Game Fest and the other shows that basically stole E3's thunder.
hell,
I mean,
hell,
and really, E3, they didn't really even steal E3's thunder. They just filled the spot that E3 left when E3 couldn't continue.
oh yeah,
So really, they didn't even steal E3's thunder. It's just E3 fizzled out, and Summer Game Fest and other events are picking up the slack because you don't really. But also, it's just a thing of the times. You don't have to be at E3 as a developer or a publisher anymore to get your content out there. You can run your own virtual event anytime you want. You can run your own virtual conference anytime you want. And most game companies are doing that. Most game companies just say, "Hey, if we got a lot of news to promote, we'll plan our own event later in the year. Um, Once we have enough news to actually hold a press conference or virtual conference or whatever."
mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
So I mean, with that, E3 has become antiquated. It's um, and they really do need to figure out what they're going to do, because this is I mean, in a couple of years, I'm going to say just let E3 go if they haven't figured it out yet.
yeah. Just create like one more event. In my perspective, if they wait till E3 2025 and plan ahead right this second for that last E3 official, because that's just right on the mark, the 2025 E3. That's it. And let it be for how many more years, if not decades. Because if they could do something with GTA 6 promo, where they can bring regular people like us gamers together at the E3 and say, "Hey guys, sign up for a raffle for a GTA 6 uncensored version or whatever it's like that Cyberpunk 2076." Because obviously you get away with it in 2020 with the Cyberpunk and all, with the nudity and stuff, or violence or whatever, the gore and shit like that, because they censor stuff now on the Xbox store. To be honest with the audience that we're talking to, and it's like that because now with GTA 5, one example, they got rid of the torture scene that you played in the first couple of hours of GTA 5. So
Well,
anytime,
not first, it was much later in the game, but
yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
yeah, they did this year, 2023, right now, as of this year. Last year or two, it was already like no problem. Like the last, like up for 2013 of its release, up until this year, they censored. It was uncensored to see all the good stuff of GTA 5, the torture, the gore, the violence. You see Molly
And the
get
truth, and the truth is, it wasn't that bad because I mean, once you got the information out of the guy, even though Trevor was told to kill him, you could choose to either save the guy and help him escape, or to kill him.
yeah. I
Did
don't,
you play that mission in Grand Theft Auto 5?
the one about to kill all the FBI agents or kill Michael or kill Trevor.
No, 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 no. Where you have to torture the guy for information.
Yeah, I did that. I was
As
the first time I watched. I was like, oh.
what did you choose when they no longer needed the guy? Did you help him escape, or did you kill him?
I didn't kill him. I just took him to the airport.
Yeah, I took him to the airport also.
But it's ridiculous. I spent $65, not $70 at the time because it came with a shark card offer. of like whatever the amount was back then, and I'm like, I can't get my own uncensored or unabridged version that I paid good money for. That's against consumer laws. That's also violate the right to be informed of that change. Because I could sue Rockstar Games if I really want to, if the class actually lawsuit about the matter. If gamers want to come together like that, it's to a point where it's like I cannot have my right to have it see violence and gore for how many decades. Now you have to censor it because some 6-year-old kid got access to it through the online community, through their parents or whatever. Like it's ridiculous. Because I played Mortal Kombat 1 and shit like that, and what's it called fucking Tekken and all those violent games back in the day. But yes, did it affect me somehow, some way? Yes, to some extent. But also, yeah, I got in my fights during those times, yeah. But it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't like directly. It wasn't start the fight. It was just basically like that's how us kids were back in the day. It was different times. But
Yeah, not to mention, honestly, I'm not even sure that torture mission is the most controversial one. It's the most. It might be the most controversial storyline mission, but like when you throw in like the strangers and freaks missions,
oh yeah,
I'm not even sure that's the most controversial one. There's one where Trevor breaks up a fight between a woman and her guy, and basically Trevor gets her in her truck, and if you take her home with you, Trevor knocks her out and then drags her into his house, and then it changes from night to day. So,
oh wow, I didn't see that.
I mean, it's censored. You don't see what's going on, but it's clearly implied.
Yes. How
Um,
about the other stranger? It's not strangers or freaks. It's one of those unexpected blue dot missions. You ever seen the? You ever been on the when we drive in a city or in Trevor's neighborhood where there's like a blue dot appear out of nowhere and you gotta come to it and then everybody say help, help, help me or whatever it's called. Well, the one I saw was a blue dot directly to a hot, unused, authentic car that's like that of like some like one of those preview those prototype cars whatever. And the minute I drive out of the parking lot to take that to my place, some group of people are trying to kill me. It is every single time they kill me. It was a hit job. It was some important person with that car, whatever. I choose the GTA gamers know what I'm talking about. They play long enough. You're in Trevor's neighborhood, or in this, or somewhere like the outskirts of the city, and you gotta go to this parking lot, and it's just car out of nowhere, just stood there. So if you drive right towards it and go into that car, and try to drive out into regular roadways, you see a Mack truck coming behind you, then about two guys with SUVs or whatever it was, and you're dead after not even a minute. So it's kind of like that's unexpected right there. But I should have like censored that out because it seems too overwhelming in a sense.
yeah. So, I mean, again, these games are rated M for mature. So that's another thing. If
Exactly.
your kid's too young, to see it, well, maybe you should pay attention to what the game is rated.
I understand the consumer
And
side of it.
honestly, maybe kids don't need to be protected from seeing everything until they're 30.
30. Oh, yeah,
Yes, I was being facetious,
yeah.
but you get my point. I mean, I hate this that kids see an R-rated movie because their parents take them, and then the movie gives them nightmares. Well, who was the genius that brought them to an R-rated movie to begin with?
Or if you want to see that Love and Basketball game, Love and Basketball movie from the 2000s, I was like 14 at that time, and my friend, I want to call his name. He's a close friend family. He's like 16, 17 at the time. We went to the movies and with no problems to walk in for two adult tickets. It was a Love and Basketball, and it was so not the literal whole thing, but like they showed the sexual themes and stuff like that. So it's kind of like that's my mom to blame for not making me, but I wanted to see the movie, and I was encouraged to see the movie too. So it was pretty cool. So, but yeah,
Yeah. So I mean,
you want to censor
but
that
yeah.
too?
So I
Come
mean,
on.
but back to E3. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe they start planning 2020. Maybe they do cancel 2024 and let 2025 be the final year. Um, and let 2025 be the final year, but change it up so it's not the same old E3 that's um, that's been on life support basically.
Yeah.
And with that, that's the end of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. I hope you enjoyed that. Our next episode will be in 2 weeks on September 23rd, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. As for tomorrow, I do have church tomorrow morning, and then I'll probably be updating my store's website. Dr. Games 101, do you have any plans for tomorrow?
Not really for the next couple of days at least. I'll be sticking with Z League as always. Try to make some credits as always and make some kind of cash prizes or prizes altogether. I'd like to do a recording as always. Try to do at least one recording a week from now on. And I did about so far 2 or 3 videos for the last week or so. So if I can balance out my schedule between like my errands, the Z League, and other projects I want to do, because obviously I plan on doing a couple of projects that on my off time from all this stuff happening in my life. So, and my glasses need to be fixed and repaired. So that's why, I haven't played as much. So, because it's very awkward to have these glasses on when this project broken. So I gotta get that fixed sometime next week as well. So that'll be all for the time being for this week.
Yeah. All right. So again, I hope you enjoyed this, and hopefully we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time for episode 81. Until then, good night, everyone.
Goodbye.